Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we are getting the OKNs onto the racetrack for the very first time. The Pro Stars and OKN Stars drivers have waited all weekend to get onto this racetrack, and this is the first of 3 rounds of practice they'll get to try and dial their pieces in. So it gives us plenty of time to talk about them all and set the storyline and the stage for what will be the first of their 4 rounds in this 2024 Stars Championship Series season. It's a massive talking point, of course, the change in format, where they are able to work for any of the other various drivers under their respective teams all weekend, and then here at the end of it all be able to try and get on the racetrack. Well, there's problems for one. That looked to be maybe Mingnan Zhu in the 67. That was off on the side of the racetrack there. We've got problems as well early. The 19 of Qualy going wide there through the cut through. Wow, and nearly just collided with the number 5. So a number of drivers with some close moments, but nonetheless, we're underway here with the first practice here, Caleb, as I think probably what it looked like this morning had we been live with the first few sessions for the semi-pro categories as well. A bit of chaos.
Yeah, already on the edge of our seats here, Xander, watching the first practice session of the weekend. The first time these pro drivers work their way onto the racetrack. There you see Diego Ramos and others who are here racing in the OKN Stars class this weekend. The first of the 2 pro classes that we'll have here at the Star Championship Series all year round. With the all-new Pro Show getting set to go underway here this weekend. The inaugural Pro Show for the Stars Championship Series. So good to see a lot of drivers out here this weekend. And Brandon Carr, there you see with the number 1 plate, the reigning champion. A battle that went all the way to the final lap of the 2023 season in between himself and Henry Wheeler. Wheeler going to want to go 1 spot better in the championship this year, change that number 2 plate to a number 1 and take that spot away from Brandon Carr, who is new colors for him this year, and with the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic team, his return to the OKN class this year, Xander.
Yeah, new colors for both of our top 2 in the championship. Brandon Carr in the number 1 for Trinity Karting Group and Kart Republic. That move came together over in December, and he's got full time for them in all major series in 2024. Henry Wheeler at the start of the year began his foray with PSL Karting and Beer Alert in coordination with Mark Steele Racing on the 4-stroke side in 206 Racing. So both of our number 1 and number 2 drivers from last year in 2 different rides, 2 different teams, and 2 different chassis from when the last time we saw them. There's Aiden Lorenko going by in the number 29, and there's also plenty of other names worth talking about, like the newcomer who we spoke to a few moments earlier on the semi-pro broadcast in Peyton Phillips in the Ryan Perry Motorsport machine. He inherits the seat that was held by Brandon Carr last year, as Henry Wheeler looks like he is going to be bailing out early in this initial Pro OKN Stars practice session. Nick Terlecki is one of the few returning from last year with the same exact package, though. You have a lot of guys going familiar faces, new places. It is the same Hochshire development, Tony Kart, and the same number 88 home that we are used to seeing Nick Terlecki in for 2024. And by the end of the last season, he was really starting to make some hay when we got to Cincinnati to close out the championship and battle at the front of the field.
Yeah, so a lot of drivers in this field, and I think Paulie Massimino out on the racetrack as well, currently in 5th for the number 40 BJR MDR machine of Paulie Massimino. Wasn't sure earlier this year if he was going to run the OKN class, but I think that BJR team thought better of it, and Paulie Massimino out here this weekend and racing. Nicholas Terlecki, like you said, back with the Hotes guys this year, so a lot of names here that we haven't seen. Aiden Fox as well, so a lot of drivers that we're going to expect to see at the front of the field on what's a pretty good class here for the sophomore season of the OKN class in the Stars Championship Series.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the class being pretty stacked out. First of all, there, of course, Diego Ramos in the number 21. He's shown as Kevin King right now. That's one of the PSL Karting team owners and team managers, but it's actually their leading man, the Brazilian-American who resides in Orlando, Florida, with his Stars Championship Series debut here this week, along with the rest of the Red Army race team, and he's one of the few that's taken full advantage of this initial session, and he is also the quickest by a couple tenths. Now, we still, again, are just getting the first couple laps from everyone, so this will change, but the initial session has Diego Ramos, shown as Kevin King in the 21, as the fastest by 3.5 tenths. So the benchmark already set pretty high. You heard from Gavin Bailiff earlier today that, you know, this is, you've got to kind of roll off the truck with a pretty good piece to begin with, because you don't have a lot of time to go back and find more speed. So to be already 3.5 tenths up, this is massive and a big confidence boost for Ramos on his first time on the package to be this quick to start the day, because they're only going to get to make probably some minor changes in between these practice sessions as he slows down here at the end of this session here. 10 seconds to go, and I think you'll see the 21 head for the pit lane here shortly.
Yeah, definitely. And Alexander Searle has talked to Diego Ramos, hasn't had as many laps as some of the other drivers in this class with the OKN package, but he seems to be doing quite all right. Top of the timing screens here, the lap time was a 41.096 as Diego Ramos dives into the pits there. So a lot of drivers, you know, kind of getting a feel for the racetrack. They don't have a lot of time in between sessions. I think only 30 minutes is the time that they will have to make any changes that they need to make. So it's definitely going to be a team effort for these pro categories. Obviously, all the semi-pro classes are done, so all the mechanics now, and whatever team, whatever tent that they're with, they're going to have a lot of mechanics focusing on these pro drivers.
So there's Paulie Massimino going by. He's 5th right now, 8.5 tenths off on the initial practice session to the likes of Diego Ramos. There aren't more than 11. I believe we're right around 20 total drivers in the category this weekend here. Ryan Raffa going in on that full tilt racing, BJR, MDR, Tony Kart into the scale line as well, and we'll quickly shift from 1 gear to 6 with the end of this one. So a few bailing out early in the session, but not Kevin King. Actually, Diego Ramos on the 21 is fastest over Wesley Gunler and Aiden Fox. Aiden Lorenko, it's Fox and Son Racing, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Massimino, Nick Terlecki, I believe Tommy Trailer might be in the mix there in the 7th spot. Brandon Carr, Henry Wheeler did not run the full session. Theo Corelli we saw with an issue early, and the same for Mingnan Zhu on the AEM number 67. So America's Home for Racing playing host of the Stars Championship Series, the many watching along, as now we go from one headline category to the other. It's a 1-2 punch for the Pro Show, and the next ones to roll are the Pro Stars, and you've got definitely some more star power coming your way this year. First up in the number 1 plate, a big adjustment for us. New helmet, new suit, new kart, new team, new colors for Talon Yockel as he begins his title defense. He won the opening round of the season a year ago, but of course, that was at his home racetrack at Trackhouse Motorplex. We got to catch up with him on Media Day yesterday. Let's hear from the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania native, relocated to North Carolina a few years ago, how he feels coming into the 2024 season.
My name is Talon Yockel. I'm 22 years old, and I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, driving for Sodi Kart USA. Do I seem comfortable with the number 1 plate? It's definitely, it's like a change of everything, because I'm used to having 24 on my kart somewhere, but it's a good feeling. I definitely I'm going to do my best to defend it so I can keep the number 1 on my number plate, you know, ready to go. I kind of felt like at this point I wanted to move to somewhere where I was kind of calling my own shots, because like AJ helped me tremendously, don't get me wrong. He taught me everything I know about shifter racing. So I carry his knowledge with me into what I'm doing now with Sodi. But being the lead driver and everything, I think it's not really a big step for me, because I was already making calls for my own setup, because later on, like last season, I realized me and AJ kind of had differences with our setup and stuff, so we'd figure it out together a little bit, and then it'd get to a point where we'd kind of split off with our own differences, and then he'd like his setup and I'd like my setup. So it's nothing too serious. I drove the Sodi enough now that like I'm pretty confident in like tuning it on my own, so it should be fast. Honestly, just stock. I'm ready. I can't wait to see how it does this weekend. I'm obviously coming into this first round with a new team and all. I have no expectations. I expect it to be fast, but it's also going to be a learning step for me as well. Under a new tent, different atmosphere. So, but honestly, it's not big pressure on me. I feel comfortable already.
There you hear it. He says he feels comfortable already, and he's obviously comfortable enough to be the one that he wants to lead everybody out onto the racetrack as they get their first sighting laps here for Pro Stars. And he's trailed by Vincenzo Saraceno and Justin White. Saraceno, the 2022 champ, is trying to get himself back into the mix, and the Maranello Kart USA team has a big group of shifter pilots here this weekend. Two of them obviously on screen right there as the first laps get underway. Along with them is, I believe, David Carmody in the 202 GFC Rivera Racing entry. Actually, it might be the 217 of Jason Enrique. So we'll get you the rest of the names here, but it's massive. 20 plus pro shifter drivers and a handful of rock shifters in the middle of them. Now the rock shifter drivers, they're going to be the 400 number plate, and just as in pro and rock masters, those drivers will be scored in the overall, but they do get their own subcategory, their own set of trophies, and their own championship. But if they win the overall, if they cross the line first, they are the winner as well for the Pro Stars category here this weekend. Here's Andy Rule on the Magic Kart, and there is the Afro man with a much smaller Afro here this weekend. He's got a more aerodynamic cut. That's Billy Musgrave on the factory kart, the American-made machine, with the Oz Racing and J&M Racing entry. The Canadian-based race team has a lot of American-made metal under the tent.
Yeah, a lot of American-made metal. Not a lot of Americans. Billy Musgrave, the only American under that tent here this weekend, and racing in the shifter class alongside teammate Josh Conquer as well, who makes his return. Had a good showing in 2022. A little bit of a slower 2023 for him with some issues, but back here this year with the factory kart JFM team. Going to be partners alongside Billy Musgrave, who goes top of the timing screens. A couple of other returners, Justin White and Vincenzo Saraceno, leading the charge for the Maranello Racing Carbos Engines USA team, who currently sit 5th and 6th respectively. Michael Ritchie as well, one of the other big returners here this year. We saw him earlier on the KC Grassroots side of things out at the MCC Pro-Am Series. Where he was able to get the win, but Michael Riccio making his return and looking to go a couple of spots better in the championship this year.
Well, for AJ Myers and Michael Riccio, this is a bit of a grudge match here to kick off the season. It's another one of the factory car drivers bails out of line to find some new real estate, as the two of them obviously don't want to come out as the losers on the breakup, if you will, to Talon Yockel and Sodi Racing USA. They want to be the ones to show that it was the Magic Kart that was all the magic in Talon Yockel's championship run. Behind them, there's Eric Hugh on the Race Factory MPG Motorsports machine. But here's a look at them, the 216 of Michael Riccio, and of course AJ Myers, who in the 200 will run his first full Stars Championship Series campaign in 2024. He always made a handful of starts over the years, enjoyed and was pretty much always at these events, helping with the Magic Kart USA tent. But now this year, as the class has continued to develop its Pro Stars competition level, he's on the racetrack, he's turning some laps, and he's ready to try and go to the top of the heap. Let's see on his third lap around, is it fast enough to go quickest? It's going to be close, but not enough. How about Jay Irwin? I got to talk with him a little bit as he was making his way into the racetrack. Joke with him that he gets to sleep in a little bit. He's like, yeah, this format actually suits me better coming all the way from down under, that the time change works better for them in the afternoon. He's able to, he's still trying to get adjusted and unjet lag. He can stay up till 3 a.m., which still keeps him closer to that home time zone, and then wake up around 10 or 11, roll into the racetrack and race in the afternoon. So the PSL karting driver, he's second right now to Justin White, had that breakout performance in Orlando to get onto the podium, in third to Mateus Morgado and Danny Formal, who are not here this weekend. And that's also the other interesting part for Jay Irwin this week. He is now the lead guy for PSL Karting and Pierre Lart in a shifter category. He's been able to learn under the likes of Marian Kremers and now more recently Mateus Morgado and use their data to find the weak points in his own driving and get up to speed. But this weekend, he's the one plowing the way through and trying to set the speed, and at the moment the speed looks okay.
Yeah, and speaking of Jay Irwin, after we left Orlando, he was definitely one of the drivers that surprised us the most. Put himself on the podium there at the end of the weekend in the Shifter Pro category. And this weekend, definitely going to be one of the drivers to watch, right? Makes his return to the U.S. karting scene here this weekend at the Stars Championship Series. It's definitely going to be one of the drivers to watch in that PSL Burrell Art Machine. So Jay Irwin, definitely one of the drivers to watch. Already second ahead of the likes of Billy Musgrave and A.J. Myers, who have been around here for quite some time.
To me, I think the big question here this week will really just be learning, is the delta going to be bigger or smaller, both at the front of the field and through the field, with limited practice and limited time between the practice sessions? You don't have an hour or 2 hours. You don't have 3 days of testing and a practice weekend beforehand. You get 3 practices, learn the track, make the adjustments to your kart as quick as you can, and go again. So it, of course, is going to exhaust every bit of the team resources, which luckily they have at their disposal with all the semi-pro classes parked for the day. But at the same time, there's so many unknowns about this new format, specifically on the practice and qualifying side, that we're just really not going to know until we get into qualifying in about an hour and a half and find out how they all stack up. Justin White there on the number 3 plate. He has dropped down a little bit, but for Justin White on the Maranello, trying to improve that plate for 2024. He is right now outside of your top 10 and a wide spread if you look at the gaps there through the top 10. There's problems for one of the factory car drivers that has a broken rear bumper. Not sure who that is. That is the 488.
Yes.
Actually, mistake. Sorry, Justin White is P1. My mistake. That's why we're going to him. It took me a second to realize the Jay Irwin versus Justin White. Justin White, fastest here on the Maranello number 3.
Yeah, so not a bad start to the weekend so far for Justin White. Already top of the timing screens here. So the 488, that's Osley Cheek, the 4th, who finds himself currently 22nd with, like you said, rear broken rear bumper. But for Justin White, top of the timing screens, it says 232, but he is the number 3 plate here at the Star Championship Series. And looking to go a couple of spots better, like we said, Xander. Looking to beat the guy who's in front of him here at the moment, the reigning champion, Talon Yockel.
Now, the first session of the weekend here for some drivers that maybe have only run in the SCUSA Pro Tour this year and haven't done any extra testing, or maybe did the Rock Winter Tour, anything else, they might have had to go and start on sticker MG yellows. And that makes sense here. Jay Irwin, Billy Musgrave, Justin White, all probably on new tires. So that could also be a bit of the delta difference here as the checkered flies for everyone. A couple other notables to start the session here. Ian Quinn, 5th. A very impressive start to his day. Michael Riccio, of course, 6th, only 2.5 back. Same for Gavin Bailiff, 3/10 back. Pretty close top of the field. Big gap further down as you get outside the top 7-8 cars. Josh Conker, 6 and 8, 6.5 to 7/10 off. Charlie Steins on that Factory Fury GP kart is 9th. Vincenzo Saraceno, 10th. Jonathan Ocasio, Eli Fox, Jared Ramnarayan, all the way down to Frankie Iadavea, who is one of the handful of rock drivers here this weekend, along with Owsley Cheek, the 4th. Those and Logan Hickman on the 491, running in the subcategory of the 22 Pro Stars and Rock Stars drivers. But it's quick, and so that's why you see the mechanics already into the scale line. Just going to take a look at their drivers here, check pressures, and quickly make a decision of what is going to be the adjustment they make to their ride before they head back out for practice number 2. So practice 1 in the books for now OKN Stars and Pro Stars. And there's all kinds of eyes to see how this format goes out. But now we go back green in just 20 minutes. With OKN Stars, they get about 30, like you said. It'll be around 20 by the time they get back to their pit and then back up to the grid. And then for Pro Stars, same thing. They go back out in just about 30 minutes at 5 o'clock even. And that's for FP2. Then they get another 30-minute break, go back out for FP3 before one final 30-minute gap, and then back for qualifying here, kind of almost getting closer to sunset hour at 6:10 and 6:20. So this is 4 sessions today they get. Then tomorrow into the race day, first of the 2 race days, they get a warm-up session before the 2 motos, then both 2 moto races, and then on Sunday, it's all about the show. Just the main events here with a lot of pre- and post-race ceremonies for each of the 2 divisions. Saves the tires a little bit because, again, there's really the option. I mean, if you wanted to go new tires all 3 sessions, you could. I don't think you'll see them do more than maybe 2 sets. One, if they wanted to start on new rubber, and then probably a new rubber run in FP3 to get a mock qualifying session put together.
Yeah, so already, this is the end of FP1 for both of the pro classes, and I mean, I said it earlier, right? It's going to be all hands on deck for a lot of these teams to try and get all these shifter drivers or OKN drivers ready for their next session. I mean, for the Magic Car guys, I can't imagine they have like 5 or 6 shifters out here, so let's hope they have enough mechanics to spread the love in between all the drivers, the likes of AJ Myers and others. Jay Irwin and Ian Quinn. I mean, forgot about Ian Quinn running under the PSL tent this weekend as well, and the Kubica Burrell Art machine, who went 5th the last time by. So Jay having a teammate in the field, and Ian Quinn, who makes his return to the shifter class this year.
Yeah, Jared Ramnaryan's also under the PSL camp as well, so they've got 3 at least that we know of there. Like you said, Magic with a ton of shifters. MPG has 1 in this class, and then it's kind of more evenly spread down the rest of the field. You know, the factory kart guys got Billy, got a few others that'll be helping them out to get the work in, but this is just where the spotlight really begins for these guys. The spotlight starts in FP1, whereas everybody else, it starts in qualifying. We'll take this moment here while they roll through the scales to do a quick commercial break and a little bit of a countdown before we get back underway here in about 15 minutes with OKN Stars FP2.
Studies show that even the best current generation of simulators only convince 50% of the human brain that they are real. Here at SimCraft, that just isn't realistic enough. Developed to offer the most realistic karting sim experience in the world, all testing has shown that the physics engine used in SimCraft's Grid 1 model convinces 90% of the human brain that you are actually on track. Now that is the real deal.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to go fast? From road race to sprint race, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, club, regional, and national, DYL Kart Sport brings a family fun atmosphere. We're here to help you. We've already got plenty of hardware here to start 2024, and with team manager Rhett Thomas bringing years as a champion driver and tuner, we're ready to take you to the front. Inquire now to find out more about our Comp Kart Race Shop and team at dylkartsport.com or driveyourline.com.
13 racetracks in the United States. And
Counting a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the car on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today. USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParalinUSA.com.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Kart Class has done the hard work for you. We've travelled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Kart Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit kartclass.com to get your track information.
With OKN and Pro Stars having their first practice sessions wrapped up, we are just keeping a close eye on the clock. We're about 13 minutes away from FP2 for OKN and Pro Stars, and we'll be chatting with a handful of the superstars from those categories here live from America's home for racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So we talked to a few of them throughout Media Day. You'll get to see some more of those segments like the one that we had there with Talon Yockel during FP1. A quick run through the results one more time with notables. Justin White, 40.776 in that first session was fastest on the Maranello. And then it was only a tenth of a second from P1 to P4, 78 thousandths to be exact. From White to Irwin to Musgrave and Myers. 4 different chassis, 4 different race teams, and I believe a couple of different engine builders in that mix as well for the top 4. I think they're all going to be on TM power plants. Justin White and Billy Musgrave, I believe, on the SRP power plants. AJ Myers on the Sani Engines TM, Sani Engines TM, and Jay Irwin on the PSL karting built TMKZ. Then Ian Quinn, of course, second of the PSL karting entries. Michael Riccio, second of the Magic Kart USA entries. Gavin Bailiff, first of the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republics. The lone one here in, or one of only 2, I believe, in the shifter categories. Yeah. Talon Yockel did not get a time scored, so that's why we didn't see him anywhere up on the boards, neither for Jason Enrique. The rest all got sorted out through the session, so we are at 24 total drivers for Pro and Rock Shifter. 21 of those 24 are in the Pro category on the KZ class. The other 3 are in the Pro Stars category, but in that sub Rock Stars category as well. They're running those 400 number plates. And Jonathan Ocasio, who's moved up into the Pro category last year on a Rock power plant in that sub category, he's now moved into the Pro Stars class with a KZ engine. He was 11th in the first session. We'll have that countdown to green timer down in the bottom right corner of your screen so you can know when the next session will roll. It's going to be pretty short, though. 11 minutes here at 4:50 p.m. Eastern. We'll get back underway here with OKN Stars practice. As our OKN drivers are midway through getting ready for their next session and beginning to make their way back to grid. Let's go down and hear from the fastest one by a couple of tenths. It was the number 21 of Diego Ramos, topping the charts at OKN Stars. Let's go down to Alex.
Thank you, Xander. Diego, I mean, you put about 3.5 tenths on the OKN field. I talked to you after the session. You said, listen, I didn't think I was that quick. So what do you think you can improve on? I mean, how much pressure is on you as a driver having not driven this package before this weekend?
I think, like I told you, I felt a bit slow driving, but I think it is what it is. Like the engine is a bit different to drive. You don't have like good bottom when you press the throttle, but like the mid engine was really fast. We're gonna work a bit in the chassis, so if we can find a bit more grip, because I felt slippery in the track. I like the track here, my first time also here. Floating track, but yes, exciting.
Thank you, Diego.
Thank you.
All right, Diego Ramos here. We got his PSL buddy here, Jay Irwin. Jay, listen, coming from Australia, right? I think this kind of works out for you a little bit in terms of the scheduling. You get to sleep in, you get to stay up late for you. So first and foremost, how are you feeling coming over? 15-hour flight for you.
Yeah, it's with this format makes the time zone change a lot easier. It's much easier because I can go to bed, like you said, late and wake up late, and it's a lot closer to home.
Now, coming from the pro show there, your teammate Mateus Morgado not here for data. Didn't seem to affect you at all. Top 3 in the practice session there. So in terms of that, how do you feel after that session, and how much do you think you're going to have to work on towards the next 2 sessions?
Yeah, it is going to be my first time without a teammate, so it'll show kind of where I'm at without him. We still definitely have a lot to work on from that session to the next.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
All right, from one shifter to another here, Talon Yockel. New colors for him, a bit of a delayed debut, but nonetheless, Talon Yockel here on board the orange, black, and white machine. You know, you told me before this weekend you like the soda, you feel comfortable on it. After that session, it looked pretty quick.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out the track, not try to overstep any braking zones or anything, because I'm coming out here with the blank slate, just a little bit of coaching once last year, but I felt like I was driving pretty good. I didn't have a transponder on. I forgot to put that on for the first session, but yeah, the Sodi kart felt really good, just making a few minor tune-ups, and I think we'll be on the money in this next session, hopefully.
Thank you, Talon.
Thank you.
All right, and lastly here, let's get a driver that we don't get to talk too much, doing some car stuff, but always good to see him back at the racetrack. Caleb Gaffar. Didn't have a transponder there. You're always trying to confuse us, but nonetheless, looked pretty quick on the OKN package. You don't have any laps on the OKN, but you have driven direct drive before, so you think that helps you going into this weekend?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a fun time finally getting back into it. It's been probably about 2 years since I've driven one, but I mean, this felt like home.
Yeah, and in terms of this pro show format, you didn't get to drive it over there in Scusa, but now you get to drive it here at the Stars Championship Series. You kind of told me before the interview it's going to come down to driver. Is that really how you feel with the shortened practices and not many before qualifying?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's gonna come down to driver a lot, because I mean it's a driver class. Like you got to be pretty smooth and get out of the corner right, so you can like get down the straight. And I really think it's gonna come down to driver more than motor.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you.
All right, back to you there, Xander.
Interesting to hear Caleb Gaffara's thoughts on the package and what we may expect out of the OKN Stars drivers as they are slowly making their way back to the grid. You saw at the top of the frame there, Josh Hotes was starting to push his way up. They're just under 6 minutes out from going green with FP2 for OKN Stars and a quick flurry through. But this is the part of the day where everyone's still pretty confident, because everyone's just kind of going out and driving, and where the expertise kind of comes in is when you get to FP2 and FP3, the guys that get ahead early. And it's almost like a bell curve, I feel like, Caleb, through the course of a weekend. You start off and everyone's maybe green, or a lot of guys are fast right out of the gate. The fast guys you might expect might not be there. There might be some new names top of the boards. Then you get into the nit and gritty of practice, and the first couple practices after the initial one is where the real talent, I think, shows. Sessions 2, 3, 4, the second, the third, the fourth. The guys that figure it out early because of the experience and the expertise that they have. And then when you have enough testing over the course of a race weekend, if you're testing for multiple days or a weekend before and everyone knows the track and you get 10, 20 sessions to figure it out, eventually the field catches back up. But what we're about to see is probably the best testament to who is, really good at adapting, both quickly making a setup change and going the right way, and then as a driver, quickly fixing some of those errors to some of the corners to go a little better.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point, right? You can change a setup, but if you go the complete opposite way and go the wrong direction, you're going to end up even slower than when you went that first practice. like you said, it's going to be really important to find the right setup, find the one that's going to get you quicker, and with a little bit more grip on a racetrack that's still a little bit green. I mean, speaking to the drivers even today, the rubber just hasn't been getting laid down as much as they thought it would have. For some of the semi-pro classes, they were waiting for the pro classes to go out to really set in that rubber. So for some of these drivers, just kind of adding grip into their chassis and trying to stick onto the racetrack.
That's a great point, talking about the rubber too. Remember, of course, anyone that raced in the X30 class back at Houston for the U.S. Pro Kart Series, well, they're going to be familiar with this new MG Yellow compound, but anyone else, the brand new softer compound from Iveco and MG tires, the Iveco Red or the MG Yellow, I mean, this is uncharted territory. So for all the OKN drivers, again, it's brand new from where it was last year. For all of the shifter drivers as well, brand new. So you've got a totally different tire that's only seen one other race weekend that no one really knows how to tune on. And the tire that I imagine, from what you're saying, the semi-pro guys are banking on laying down the rubber for the rest of the weekend. We also, of course, go to this racetrack only for race weekends. There's no built-in testing rubber. You know, you still look at some of the tracks over in Europe or some, racetracks like Speed Sports that have a purpose-built rental track, so it's almost always owner carts on it. They're kind of, it's almost this built-in layer of grip from so many people driving on it all the time. We don't have that here. This track lays dormant when you don't have race series at it. So that's a major, major change as well, that probably the first two sessions of the day of the four that semi-pro guys got were just cleaning all the dust and marbles off.
Yeah, no, correct, right? So for all these drivers, I think the last kart race that came out here was CKNA Spring Nationals, and that was a whole different tire compound, being the Vega Red. So for all these guys, it's going to be just a learning experience. You're going to see Paulie Massimino. Brandon Jarzakrak was telling us over at Houston that Paulie wasn't going to be running this weekend. Was only going to be coaching, but with the Pro Show format, has the opportunity to coach and to race out here this weekend. So myself, Alex Suro, and Emery Letta, when we were doing the Grid Talk episode earlier this week, didn't think Massimino and some others were going to race here this weekend, and surprising us. So whatever picks that we had earlier this week, throw that out the window. Definitely not relevant now, because we have some other drivers and some heavy hitters coming out to play here.
Well, in Paulie's case, and like many here with Charlotte, North Carolina, and Mooresville becoming such a hotbed for karting, it's not the worst weekend in the world. He can go back home at night, so he can save a little money on hotel, and at the end, then all of a sudden the costs start going down, especially, again, like you said, with this hybrid split day format. You're able to kind of help out some other drivers or families or teams in the morning, and then go do your own job in the afternoon. And for a team, they can kind of split labor up a little bit. It does make it a long day, of course. I mean, we're going to be ending around 7 p.m. for the next for today and for tomorrow, but that's part of the game. I mean, at least if you're only running one class, you're also done a lot earlier. The Semi-Pro class is done at 3 p.m. each day. They're done by noon tomorrow. But then you get this, the franticness here in the afternoon as Caleb Gaffaro rushing over to his pit area to check in on something, the Leading Edge Motorsports Tony Kart. Luckily, that Circle K tent is just around the corner of the grid, but we're only a few moments away from going green. He's lined up at the back, and obviously there's something that they need to adjust on that kart or fix or tighten back up before he heads back onto the circuit.
Yeah, so for the first session, some drivers didn't have transponders on. So this second session, we'll hopefully see a lot of other drivers kind of work their way. I think we have around 20 OKN drivers here this weekend. So hopefully the majority of them have their transponders on, and we'll see where they stack up in this field.
Well, it's a quick look at the data, a quick look at adjusting on the car, and then back out for FP2. There's Peyton Phillips, top of the screen, getting his kart laid down. We did not get a transponder run from him either. We do know, of course, Aiden Lorenko and a handful of others. Didn't really get anything from Ryan Raffa, so there's still a lot of unknowns for this first race on the OKN Stars as they fire off, and there goes the countdown to green, and it looks like we don't have everyone, but we have a good amount that have made it up to the grid, and there's the rush. This is that kind of quick chaos that we expected to see for many drivers here with this division. As here's one more getting pushed off. That's one of the Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony karts.
Yeah, so that's
clear
the number 5
and
there.
away.
Yeah, so for these karts, it's kind of like the shifter, right? You have to push them off, but have to, I don't know if it's a button or what it is there to kind of engage that compression.
So you have a decompression valve on the top of the motor. It's a light blue button that you can push in. It basically makes it where you can roll that axle a little bit easier because, of course, direct drive is right on the engine sprocket to roll down the grid. So you push that valve in, that lets you roll a little bit. You roll the throttle, and the engine comes to life. So we didn't get to talk to some of the stars. We didn't get to see all their lap times in that first OKN start session. Looks like we've got at least a few more of them out here for this one. Here's Pauly in the number 40 BJR MDR entry. And like you said, it's a last-second entry, but he made it out for that first session. He was a little bit off the pace of where Diego Ramos was. I'm curious if he's going to be a little bit closer this time around as the clock starts once again for that 10-minute block, 7-minute session to try and figure out everything they need to before qualifying. So there goes the number 40 as he heads up to the top of the hill, the last turn, and back down the front straightaway. For their first lap at speed, Aiden Lorenko sets the initial pace, 41.94, right out of the pit lane.
Yeah, so a lot of drivers here. So you can Pauly Massimino as well. Another driver who's driven at this racetrack before was here a month ago as well for the big four-stroke race that came to town. But very different engine package, like we said earlier today. Josh Holtz, team owner, also running here. His transponder was working that first session, so we're going to get a good look at him as well this time by. We saw him out in Houston running the X30 package, so a lot of racing so far for Josh Holtz this year, right? The team owner and driver here ran the pro show at the SCUSA Pro Tour. We saw him in Houston a couple of weeks ago and running again this weekend here at the Stars Championship Series. So good to see Josh Holtz, one of the veterans of the sport, running so much this year.
Caleb Gaffera obviously did make it out on the racetrack on that LEM number 54 Tony Kart. Brandon Carr looking a little better this time, and the gap starting to close together as we slowly get the last few drivers transponders sorted. That was Kieran Rogers in the number 5 that was a bit slow to leave the grid, but 16 of them showing on the timer for now here in OKN Stars. Gaffera, Carr, Phillips, Josh Holtz, Nick Terlecki. Still showing as Kevin King. Again, that's Diego Ramos in the 21. Henry Wheeler, Aiden Lorenko, Massimino, and Wesley Gundler, who jumps up into the top 5 with another lap put in.
Oh, issues for Brandon Carr here in this one. So the reigning champion going to have to get off the racetrack, and I don't think they're going to be able to push him to get started. So I think this may be it for Brandon Carr, who's there on the side of the racetrack and not going to finish this FP2, which is going to hurt a lot. It's 7 minutes. The second of 3 practices.
Oh, we got one more at top of the hill there. That's the 19 that is just pulled off. Theo Corelli, just as we were looking there, going into the last turn for Brandon Carr, has a problem. Corelli with an issue as well in the Fox & Son Racing Cosmic. So Theo Corelli with an issue, and they'll get him off the racetrack. That's coming out of turn number 3, the left-hand 90. For Brandon Carr, he broke down, it looked like, going into the last corner.
Yeah, so, I mean, unfortunate, and I mean, this is one of the things we haven't talked about, right? If you DNF from one of these free practice sessions, it's going to hurt a lot when it comes to setup, learning the racetrack, and kind of fine-tuning your go-kart. So for them, definitely going to have to knock off all those gremlins going into FP3 later today.
Big lap out of Peyton Phillips, the number 10, fastest now as the 2 Fox & Son machines of Aiden Lorenko and Wesley Gundler round out of the last turn. There's Aiden Fox trailing Pauly Massimino, but Peyton Phillips, a 40.704. Big lap there for the Ryan Perry Motorsport driver. And what we don't know right now, we can kind of get a closer idea and a little help from Alex Searle, keeping an eye on the Pro Stars grid, is who's electing to go on new tires and old tires. That'll be the big change here. Did Peyton Phillips go out on sticker MG Yellows for session number 2? And if so, that would explain the gap. If not, everybody else should be a little bit worried because he's still ripping pretty quick. 3/10 better than Gaffera last time.
Yeah, and last time we saw Peyton Phillips, well, 2 times ago, he's coming off a big win at the SCUSA Pro Tour in the KA class. We have seen him in the water-cooled engine packages before. We saw him in Houston, but his first time out in a race situation with the OKN package. But he's doing a really good job for that Ryan Perry Motorsports team after they lost Brandon Carr at the end of last year. So good to see Peyton Phillips doing pretty good so far in this FP2.
Yeah, just a handful of sessions for him here and a handful of weekends in a 125 power plant after multiple seasons in 100cc racing like you're talking. Now, for Phillips, that time, no better. Still putting a couple 40.7s up on the board. Gaffera's second. Diego Ramos is still at a 41.0, 3/10 off. So this is where, again, that expertise comes in. Ryan Perry, Peyton Phillips and company being able to figure out what they need between session 1 and session 2, and there's only one more practice to go before we get into qualifying. So the drivers that are figuring out early versus the ones that end up still struggling a bit to find speed, that is a huge difference that we're going to see through to Qualy, and then we won't see those gaps probably tighten back up if they're not making improvements right now until probably overnight into tomorrow. Here's Ryan Raffa, among others, slowing down there as they're catching some traffic through the middle section of the racetrack. He's trailing the 34. That's one of the drivers not shown on timing right now. And the same goes as well for one more that we're trying to, timing and scoring is trying to identify. So I think we have 18 or 19 in total on the racetrack.
Yeah, around 20. I wasn't too far off on my guess. So good to see this many OKNs out here in racing. And there you see Peyton Phillips going for a move, and that's Trailer in the 63 in the grass here. Tommy Trailer not going to finish this session either for the Fox and Sun team.
That's a lot of kart pickups. The good news is that'll delay the Pro Stars boys a moment or two, depending on how long it takes them to clear the racetrack. As here we have some more traffic coming through. Phillips and Raffa going to get by. Ryan Raffa right now sits fifth, still half a second off of Peyton Phillips, but he's getting a bird's eye view at where he needs to find more speed to close the gap to Peyton before qualifying. Phillips is a rocket ship. This kid is just on another level for the rest of the OKN Stars field as things currently stand.
Yeah, so really good for the Austin, Texas native of Peyton Phillips. He's going to get the checkered flag and going to end off on a good foot here at the end of this practice number 2. So Peyton Phillips, definitely a good session for him in that RPM Tony Kart machine.
Yeah, he had some kind of hand signal coming across the checkers, but I don't know if he felt that good or was a little frustrated, but definitely a good session for Peyton Phillips in the number 10. He ends as the fastest in OKN Stars FP2. Caleb Gaffera ending up in second. Then Diego Ramos in third. Nick Terlecki, Ryan Raffa, your top 5 over Brandon Carr. Wesley Gundler there in 7th. Josh Holtz 8th. Paulie Massimino slips to 9th there in the closing couple laps. Aiden Lorenko 10th. But the bigger story here are the likes of Tommy Trailer and Brandon Carr that did not get to run the full session, and one more we saw break down as well on the racetrack. So 3 drivers with repairs to be made. The other one is Theo Corelli in the number 19 Fox and Sun entry. So the Fox and Sun karting team, 2 cars to fix. Brandon Carr, you saw him break down going into the final turn. He's trying to frantically get that kart over into the scale area as he quickly pulls the tire wall over there. And that's just kind of this pressure cooker situation. The high intensity of quick rack 'em up and go practice sessions. You cannot afford to lose a second. So he doesn't even want to wait on the pickup vehicle. He's going to push himself quickly to the scale line and try to get over those and get back to the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic camp to get himself all fixed up.
Yeah, so it seems like he's made his way there into the pit lane to scale himself and get himself going. But like you said, right, definitely a rush for these drivers. They don't want to lose any time here for any mechanical issues that he may have here in this one. So definitely going to have to get that kart fixed up and ready to go for FP3 as you see them already rushing over to the Trinity Karting Group tent.
And taking a look at that and how easy he was able to push it, I would imagine it was a chain failure for Brandon Carr. So the chain going away for the number 1, that's why he was able to keep pushing that thing, because that decompression valve doesn't stay on forever when you push it in. Now, this is, again, just on the OKN Stars half. We didn't see any mechanical issues really in the Pro Stars category for FP1. I'm curious if we'll see any for FP2 as they go behind the scale line at the end of the session. He was still, again, in the early stages looking to be kind of sporty. Was 6th at the end of it all, but only got 2 laps at speed. And there you can see the chain dangling there in the off the kart stand. So Brandon Carr, broken chain. That's a quick fix, or should be, but it may limit them from making any more chassis adjustments before the next session. Here we go for Pro Stars. Back on out to the racetrack. Talon Yockel ready to lead us off. He said he'd forgotten the transponder for the first session. hopefully he's got it on here for FP2, and we get a read at where the number 1 plate is going to stack up to the rest of the field, because there were 4 of them, all very fast at FP1. Jay Irwin, AJ Myers, Billy Musgrave, and a very good run from Justin White on the Maranello Kart USA machine. He has gone out a little further back down the grid there. He's in that second group, second in line to Gavin Bailiff. So Justin White out by himself. There's Tommy Traylor, top of the screen for Oken. Stars pushing his way back to the pit area as the first few drivers come across the line to begin their laps at speed for Pro and Rock Stars FP2. Justin White there in the number 3 plate coming out of the corner. Jared Ramnarayan on by. Here's a group with AJ Myers in tow, the Magic Man himself, with the 202 lined up behind him, with David Carmody on the Rivera Racing GFC.
Yeah, so a lot of different manufacturers here in the shifter class, which is really good to see, you know, for all these guys. There on your screen is Justin White, and right behind him is Ian Quinn in the black suit there. So Ian Quinn in the Kubica Kart out here this weekend, running shifter once again in the Stars National Series here. Eric Hugh there with the 254 as well. So a lot of different drivers here this weekend running and showing their pace nonetheless. And you know, I just really love to see, you know, wherever we may go, the variety of different go-karts that we see out here.
Yeah, here we are coming on the back straightaway. This is Josh Conker. New colors, new helmet, new suit, new go-kart for the factory kart entry in the 254 as he runs right behind Mr. Factory Kart Billy Musgrave. And so this is, of course, the benefit there of having 2 fast guys under the tent. They can go out together. You can see in real time the differences. Oh, no! I would say you can see the differences in the kart, but it looks like Musgrave hand in the air. He might have a problem as he looks over to the right side in front of the engine. There is an issue for Billy Musgrave here early in FP2.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if it's the airbox that's loose or what it is, but Billy Musgrave with some sort of issue here in this one. So hopefully he can make it back into the pits so they can get to work on that factory kart machine as quick as possible, because they're definitely going to want to knock out whatever gremlin is in that factory kart machine here, Xander.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it might be look how easy he was able to adjust that airbox. So that airbox has come loose on the 211 of Billy Musgrave. Like you said, though, smart guy, going to try and hang on to it just to nurse it into the scales. He can roll through those scales by himself about another 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Big contact into the wall, into the tire barrier on the outside of turn number 9 and 10 at the end of the back straightaway. That's the 491 that has hammered Logan Hickman, one of the 3 rock-powered DR entries. And Logan Hickman is trying to find neutral. He is buried in the gravel right now on the outside of turn number 9, trying to make his way back onto the racetrack with all kinds of rocks on the tires of that DR kart.
Wow, big contact there on the exit of the tire wall, and going to have a lot of work to do. I don't know if that's a bent axle or just the amount of rocks that are on his tires here at the moment. I think it's just the amount of gravel that he picked up on his tires as well. You see there Gavin Bailiff trying to get around one of the factory karts there as well. Gavin Bailiff, a lot of new helmets this weekend, Xander. We've seen Gavin Bailiff with a new one, Talon Yockel as well, Brandon Carr. So a lot of new lids here this weekend for some of the drivers.
Yeah, started the season, new colors, new same faces, but they look a whole lot different. Now, let's keep you updated on the leaderboard as we're now about 4.5 laps into this. Jay Irwin, fastest. Josh Conker, second. Ian Quinn, third. AJ Myers, fourth. Justin White was fifth. Move Michael Riccio up to that spot. Riccio, P5. Myers going better. Looks like he's gotten back in. Hickman, 20th. Trying to get back out onto the racetrack. And he will continue. So Logan Hickman returns. Vincenzo Saraceno has not yet knocked a lap on the board. Don't know if he's still got some transponder issues or if he made it out for this one. Of the 24, we've got times for 23. Musgrave again. Bailey even got an outlap underway. Josh Conker, new fastest car though. How about it for the factory car boys? They've got the Canadian quickest right now, just ahead of Eli Fox there on the Factory Fury GP kart.
Yes, so not too bad so far for the Canadian and Josh Conker. A 40.639 was a 10th quicker than Jay Irwin last time by. So not too bad there for Josh Conker. Seems like they have that factory kart rolling here in this one. So for the Canadian, Off to a good start so far. Second practice in this one. Found himself outside of the top 10 at the end of the first one. So a much better second practice. It seems like himself and Billy Musgrave went back to the tent, talked about it, and they have that factory kart rolling here, Xander, I must say. So Josh Conker making himself a contender here already this weekend. Jay Irwin second, Riccio up into the top 3, ahead of A.J. Myers, who's currently 4th, and Ian Quinn running up your top 5 in this one.
Yeah, they've still got about another 4 laps left in the tank. Irwin going a little better that time. He closes the gap down to just about 100th. And he's going to catch traffic here as he closes up to Talon Yonkel, who's about 4/10 off the lead right now in 7th. So Jay Irwin rolling that momentum from Orlando, went back home, did some more racing, and I think he's happy with what he's got as he makes a little adjustment down there. Looks like maybe a brake bias change or something broken for the PSL driver. Is he trying to go to the scales? He's not.
Like you said, it could have been a brake bias change there. He reached down towards the brake, so could have just been that for Jay Irwin. But Xander, I mean, another point that I want to bring up, 30 laps on Sunday. If I'm not mistaken, 18-minute main events for these pro drivers. So in a shifter kart, I mean, what can we expect on the physicality side of things, right? On a track that already this weekend we've seen is going to be physical on some of these guys.
Well, not only is it going to be physical, they don't know how physical it's going to be because it is short session after short session after short session. They slowly get longer over the course of the weekend. But 3 7-minute practices, then into qualifying another 7 minutes. And then you get, of course, the motos that are a little bit longer, half the distance of the main more or less, maybe 2/3. But no one's really going to know physically how hard it is. The bigger question, I think, will be tire management. And that's where you see 2 different strategies here for 3 practices. Do you go with 2 sets of new MG yellows, maybe session 1 and session 3, or do you try to run 3 heat cycles on them to give yourself an idea of what 30 laps would look like? Because they're getting about 9 to 10 laps per session here as the checkered flag flies. So I think that'll be the bigger test. It'll be really hard to gauge right now. We know the track's going to change. We know the go-karts they're going to make more changes to. But my guess is that tire wear will be the big name of the game because you have so many fast sweeping corners that really work that outside tire, especially your right sides, that you're going to be managing that for a lot of those 30 laps, trying to play the long game and treat it like a marathon. And I think it'll probably keep us relatively clean in the OKN class in the opening couple laps. I would hope so, that they all understand that it's going to be such a long race there. But that's what really the name of the game on Sunday will be is tire management. Even starting on a new set, you can overheat them, and they are going to be done for the rest of the session. And especially starting new, you go too hard in the first few laps and you overheat them, they're done. There's no coming back. There's no cool down laps to bring them back. To a degree from what everyone's been saying and from what we've experienced so far with the MG tires. But that's all, again, a lot of speculation because we just haven't yet had a race on this newer MG Yellow compound in shifter. We've only had 1 race in 125 competition that obviously had a lot of the field still scratching their heads with how big Ryan Norberg laid the beat down on them in Houston.
Yeah, correct. And I mean, this is really what I love about the Pro Show, right? You're starting to see different aspects of racing in karting, right? You know, stuff that you're used to seeing in cars, whether it's F1, IndyCar, tire management, right? We don't see that very much in karting. So now with longer races, longer main events, you see a lot of guys having to do a little bit different, right? Maybe have to, be a little bit mature when it comes to their driving, be a little bit more patient, right? When it comes down to it, you maybe want to save tires a little more during a race or whatever it may be, right? So it's going to be different, and it's one of the aspects that the Pro Show has really brought us this year, Xander.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a new aspect for everyone. It's a big learning experience, and it's fun for us to watch them all develop. Now, the times definitely got a lot closer here with FP2. Josh Conker, fastest here for the Canuck, the 254 by 12 thousandths to Jay Irwin. They both had 2/10 to Justin White, Michael Riccio. A.J. Myers, not as fast as his teammate, but still kept 2 Magics inside the top 5. Ian Quinn then 6th, Yockel 7th, Gavin Bailiff 8th, Jonathan Ocasio 9th, and then Eli Fox in the top 10. But they went from about a second off for 8th, 9th, and 10th to half a second off. Charlie Steins, he picks up 3/10 in the margin to the leaders. They're moving up from 9/10 back, put him inside the top 10. He's outside the top 10 now, but he's only 6/10 off in 11th. David Carmody, Enrique, Ramna Ryan, Safik Haddock the third. So we are seeing that evolution and progression. The question is just how close does it get and how far off do some of the guys that maybe take a little bit longer to get rolling end up? Or does any of the leaders get a bit of a head start? We've seen 4 close together in that first session, now 2 close together in this one for Pro Stars. So that to me is the big unknown is, are we going to see someone hit the setup right, figure out something before everybody else does here through FP3 or into qualifying, because it's just 4 quick sessions and quick adjustments. One of them is going to be the money setup change, whether it's on carburation with the motor, gearing on the engine, or maybe a little bit of chassis tuning that just gets them another 10th or 2, and that could put them up a number of positions, because you're just not going to see everyone make that leap and hit it right.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about money setup changes, and Josh Conker found himself outside of the top 10 at the end of FP1, now went quickest, right? So he definitely found whatever he needed to find, but obviously, the day's long from over. We have one more practice session, FP3, and qualifying still getting set to go underway today. But, I mean, already, putting us on the edge of our seats here, Josh Conker, out of nowhere, sets a flyer, 40.639, the time to beat so far, but I can only expect these times to get faster.
Yeah, me too. But I will add on as well that I think that, we're also seeing a bit of a skewed perspective, because we don't know what tire strategy everybody is
Kurt,
on.
you got a point.
Who is going out on news? Who's going out on scuffs? You would imagine they'd all go on news for FP3. Word in from Alex Searle. For the pro category, the only 2 new tires were the GFC karts of Jason Enrique and David Carmody. They went 12th and 13th. And then the 2 GP Factory Fury drivers of Eli Fox and Charlie Steins, they went 10th and 11th. So Steins picked up 3/10. How much of that was new rubber to used rubber? I would imagine about 1/10 to 2/10 here. With a dirtier racetrack, you don't get as much of a benefit of new tires because, again, with less grip laid down, that first couple laps, you're kind of skating around and then they peak, but you're still kind of sliding. So 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th on new rubber. The entire top 9 still on scuffs here for FP2. So that kind of negates a bit of the argument I guess I was making, that I wasn't sure if maybe guys like Talon Yockel, who were 4/10 off, were on used compared to Josh Conker on new, or Conker picking up that speed. Obviously, like you said, he made an adjustment maybe in his driving, adjustment on the go-kart, and he is flying now.
Yeah, not too bad. And I think Billy Musgrave, obviously wasn't able to finish that session. The lap time that he did set put him 18th. We saw issues with his airbox. So definitely going to go back to the 10th, see whatever Josh Conker has slapped on that go-kart and kind of replicate the same thing, right? I mean, in FP1, it was Justin White who went quickest. Jay Irwin second quickest. Irwin's still up there, went second quickest this practice session. Billy Musgrave, though, was P3. And Josh Conker not even in the top 5 here. Ian Quinn was in that top 5, currently 6th. But for Michael Riccio, went a little bit quicker than mentor AJ Myers that time by. So a good start so far for Michael Riccio, who's had a good start so far in this one.
We talked to not just Talon, but a handful of other drivers here, including the likes of our lone lady in the field of Pro Stars for the last few years. Now, she's not the only one this weekend, as Tegan Poults joins her as well. But Annie Rule, who was 19th there in the FP2 Pro Stars session, we caught up with her yesterday.
My name's Annie Rule. I'm from Pittsburgh, PA. I'm 19 years old, and I race with Magic Kart USA in Pro Stars. So I got into racing when I was 8 years old through Luca Mars. Luca's from Pittsburgh as well, and her dads are friends. So they took me to Pittsburgh International Race Complex, and I tested out one of their rental karts. And that was in 2013. And then in 2015, we joined Checker Motorsports, and we were in Mini for a very long time. And then we went from Mini to Shifter in the same year. So that was in 2019, right before COVID. And we've been Shifter ever since with Magic Kart. This year, I really want to rename King of the Castle to Queen of the Castle. I have to get it done. I've been talking it up for 4 years now. I also really want to get top 5 in the championship. I got 3rd in 2021, I believe, and I just want to get back up there. We've been struggling a little bit trying to find the right setup. So we work with AJ a lot, and we just try and bounce off ideas of how we can figure it out. But it's mostly on my part. I just need to gain more weight so we can take the weight off of the go-kart. And it's not going very well. I cannot gain weight. I'm really trying. I go to the gym every day, eat a lot. I try to, and the rest of it's just on the kart and up to me. We got to get a girl up there. We have to get a girl up there. I got to be number 1, so you got to root for me to give me some confidence, please.
Annie Rule, of course, looking to get up there in FP3. She's got her work cut out for her with not the best run in FP2. But hearing from her, of course, she's all smiles here at the racetrack, and she was close. That's why she mentions King of the Castle, turning it Queen of the Castle. She's won heat races. She's run up front at Newcastle, especially before. That track's treated her very well. Like many, her first time here this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the gearbox category or in any kind of category, 19th in FP2. On the flip side, new colors for Henry Wheeler this year. Spoke to him as he gets ready for OKN Stars FP3.
My name is Henry Wheeler. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Ohio, and I race with PSL karting. I got into karting through cars. I just always liked cars, and my mom had some connections to some teams in Germany, and so they taught me about karting, and so I got into it and started racing locally, started running some more national, regional stuff, and then I got involved with Brandon Jarsacrack last year and this year with PSL, and it's been going really good so far. It was a good year last year. Started off not great at the first race, had some engine troubles. Got it sorted out for the second race and got second, and then really figured it out at pit. Came out strong again at Cincinnati, had a really good weekend, and then just struggled in the final, and then finally at the end I fought back to the lead, made a mistake, and lost the lead on the last lap. It was a tough weekend because it was really good. We had really good speed the whole weekend, and I don't think we could have been any quicker. Just in the end, just a little bit of a mistake throughout the final, and then a mistake at the end just cost me the championship. So it was tough coming away from it. But yeah, I really want to get it this year, and hopefully I'll be able to get some good results again and keep doing how I did last year. Got a new engine builder and a new team, so really excited for it this year. Yeah, it should be really good. Me and Diego have worked well together, so I hope it goes pretty well, and I think we'll both be pretty quick throughout the weekend, and I think we both should be up front. Beginning of the year last year, I struggled a little bit. I was towards the mid-pack, and then about the first round of SCUSA last year, I really stepped it up a little bit and started improving. And I had the speed all year last year, but I didn't really gain the racecraft till the end of the year. And now this year, just trying to keep it where it's at and just keep improving a little bit each weekend and getting a little bit faster and a little bit better with the new team every week.
Henry Wheeler, of course, had a championship slip through the fingers in probably the most heartbreaking way possible at Cincinnati a year ago, not even, really about 7 months ago, to finish out the 2023 Stars season. Got to the lead at the white flag, thought it was the checkered, and saw Brandon Carr slip by him for the lead, the win, and the championship. It was one of the most heads-up title fights we have seen in recent times, and this year he's got a hunger to get back onto that top step and get after it. So like he said, he's got a teammate this season in the form of Diego Ramos, one of the superstars of North American karting over the last half decade, who also came so close to the U.S. Pro Kart Series Championship and X30 Pro at the end of 2023 as well. So two PSL drivers, maybe a little chip on their shoulder to try and get some end-of-season hardware, and we'll see if they can't get it done here in 2024. Now, that said, the other end of that awesome championship battle, Brandon Carr, ended last year a whole lot better than how he ended FP2. Alex?
Thank you, Xander. Yeah, you said it best. Much better result to last year's championship than that practice session right there, Brandon. You threw on new tires, kind of a waste for you. You only did 2 laps. Nonetheless, I mean, you know, how are you feeling heading into practice 3, knowing that you kind of are behind the 8 ball now, missing out on practice 2?
Yeah, practice 1 was just get to know the gear, get to feel the track out, see what's going on. Practice 2, we went new just because we've only got 3 sessions, so we've got to try and get there as quick as we can. The first 2 laps we did was, in my opinion, was there or thereabouts, so just minimal changes to the kart now. Yeah, we had a chain snap on the 3rd lap, but that's part of racing. It's going to happen at some point, so luckily it's happened now, so we can get on in practice 3 and just get pushing and get the kart set up for Qualy.
Do you feel like missing out on that practice is going to put you behind at all, or do you feel pretty confident heading to P3 and qualifying?
No, it's just one of those things. Yeah, we've only got 3 practices altogether, but now it's just all about this next one. Track's going to change so much because we're actually putting a bit of rubber down now, going on the yellow tires, so no, I don't think we're behind. We're all good.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
All right, that's Brandon Carr here. Let's go from the Oken Stars to one of the guys from the Pro Shifter Stars class, Josh Conker. I mean, considering you haven't been in the seat much, pretty impressive practice too for you, a P1 to top the boards. You, along with the GFC and GP Factory guys, the only guys to put on new tires. Do you think that played a factor into your P1 result, or do you think new tires are not really as much as strong as some of the scuff tires?
Honestly, I don't think it was much. I don't think it did much for practice. It looked kind of like everyone went out on new tires for first practice, and most people were breaking in and figuring the track out, so they really weren't pushing their stuff super hard. Obviously, we'll see here going a new set again for practice 3. I'd assume everybody else is just getting prepped for qualifying, but super happy to be back. Super glad the pace is in the JMF Motorsport factory kart.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the track, you hear it from Brandon. Some of the guys are sliding around, but grip is starting to come into its own there. Do you feel like it's going to keep getting better, or as the sun starts to, really, beam its lights on the racetrack, is it going to get greasy, you think?
I mean, the chassis change that we made felt a lot better there. But overall, I think as the weekend progresses, the track's just going to continue to get better. We don't see much running here around the Speedway karting track. So just kind of the more we're out there, especially us with the MG Yellows, we're definitely going to lay some good rubber down. But we have good numbers here this weekend, so just track progression is going to be huge.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, it's one of the Pro Shifter Stars drivers. Back to the Oken Stars here. Ryan Raffa, a top 5 there in practice 2. Your sophomore season here in the Oken class. I mean, mentally, where's your head at heading into practice 3, having 2 sessions under your belt now?
Pretty good. Just trying to figure out setup. It's hard. The track has patches of grip, and then it has places where it's just absolutely nothing. And if you go just a little bit too wide, you're right into marbles, and it takes a lap to burn them off. So we're just trying to change gear, tune the engine a little bit, and just try and nail the setup, because I think it's going to be super, super important.
Yeah, talk to me more about that, because for you, I mean, this is really your first time in a pro show setting. Usually you kind of get a Thursday, even a Friday of practice. Now you get 3 practices in a short amount of time. Does that put any pressure on you as a driver to go get it right? I mean, knowing that the boys back at the 10 are doing their best, I mean, what does it put on you?
Well, yeah, of course, it puts a lot of pressure on me. And, I mean, to be honest, we have 2 people working on my kart right now, and it's still barely enough. So I'm in there throwing the wrenches down, changing the gear, doing the alignment, trying to get us to grid on time. So, I mean, yeah, it puts more pressure on me on track, but it's also pressure off track, but that's kind of part of what makes it fun, too. It's part of what makes it the pro show.
All right, well, I'm going to let you go back to turning some wrenches there. Good luck.
I appreciate it.
Back to you, Xander.
Thank you, Alex, and a great point there from Ryan Raffa. That's what makes this the pro show. It's not just the pro drivers behind the wheel. It's the pro mechanics and pro race teams getting put to the absolute test here to try and make the adjustments and get up to speed from 0 to qualifying in less than 2 hours here, Caleb.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think you said it best, right? You have 3 practice sessions to really get on it, or not, right? That's what makes it the pro show. That's what makes it the pinnacle of karting here in the United States. Being out here, only having 3 practice sessions, not having 2 complete days of practice. You get 3 sessions, and that's all you get whenever you before you get into qualifying, right? I mean, other big national series, you have the Thursday before to practice, Thursday, Friday. It's almost 4-day weekends, right? Or even a test weekend the weekend before. But out here, it's only 3 days. You can't test out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So it's the first time any of these drivers have been on the racetrack in whatever engine package that they are. So this is probably the most even that we're going to see some of these fields here this weekend, Xander.
Well, with 7 minutes and counting down to less here, we'll take one more commercial break before FP3 for OKN Stars and Pro Stars as we get deeper into the afternoon. The breeze here keeping us nice and cool at America's Home for Racing, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the Queen City Gambit. For the Stars Championship Series, you're watching Kart Chaser. Don't go anywhere.
We're at a commercial break.
To be the best, you have to learn from the best. Racecraft Driver Development by multi-time karting champion Austin Garrison is here to help you elevate your game behind the wheel. Inquire now and go faster tomorrow. Are you ready to go fast? From road race to sprint race, 4-stroke, 2-stroke, club, regional, and national, DYL Kart Sport brings a family fun atmosphere. We're here to help you. We've already got plenty of hardware here to start 2024, and with team manager Rhett Thomas bringing years as a champion driver and tuner, we're ready to take you to the front. Inquire now to find out more about our Comp Kart Race Shop and team at dylkartsport.com or driveyourline.com. Welcome back here to the Stars Championship Series Queen City Gambit as the grid begins to fill up for OKN Stars and the final practice session before they go into qualifying. Just to recap to you what we've seen so far from the two categories here. Of course, Diego Ramos there on screen on the PSL Karting Bureau Art was fastest in practice session number 1. Then, of course, comes around FP2, a little bit off, and everybody's chasing the Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart of Peyton Phillips. That same ride that took Brandon Carr to the championship in 2023 now has Peyton Phillips as the fastest man going into final practice. That said, Brandon Carr didn't get to run the entire session. He said that he blew a chain there just on lap 3, but even then, just getting up to speed, he felt pretty good. Now, you saw on your screen, Caleb, you've been talking about the physicality of this racetrack. Yeah. Diego Ramos taping up his midsection there. Explain to the viewers what the physicality really works your body the most.
Yeah, definitely, right. For some of the drivers, I mean, I don't face this whenever I'm driving, but for some of these guys, you know, going at the high-speed corners that you have here, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the hips as well hurts a lot for some of these drivers. So if Diego Ramos has any hip padding here this weekend, definitely going to tape that up so it doesn't move around. And then for your ribs as well, right? It hurts a lot whenever you're pulling a lot of G-forces through some of these corners that are you know, just a slight lift or maybe even a light braking zone like we see at the end of the back straightaway. So just, you know, the ribs is definitely one of the things that's going to hurt the most, and your hips as well for some of these drivers.
Well, here's a good look as well for FP3. Ramos on scuffs, and the same for Henry Wheeler behind him. But you saw Aiden Lorenko sticker MG yellows for the Fox & Son Karting number 29. Now, he was one of the few Fox & Son cars that did not have an issue. For their tent, they are heavily loaded in OKN Stars drivers, and they did definitely had some problems there with two. Both with the 19 as well as, I believe, who was our other one we had? We had two drivers there with a mechanical issue from OKN Stars, and the name just escaped me for a moment. Aiden Fox and Lorenko, I believe, were okay. I think Wesley Gumler might have had a bit of an issue.
Trailer, I think.
Tommy Trailer, that's who it is. Tommy Trailer, yeah, they have 5 in total in the category. Aiden Fox, Aiden Lorenko, Tommy Trailer, Theo Corelli, as well as Wesley Gundler for their 5. Now, Peyton Phillips, fastest man in FP2, and going sticker MG yellows for FP3. So we'll see probably a lot of them going to new tires. Same for Aiden Fox. The reason they do it in the final practice session is to get a mock run as to what the track is like and what the kart's like going into qualifying when they'll go on to the new rubber again. Now, they'll be on used rubber for their 2 motos tomorrow, but then back to new rubber, I believe, for their main event come Sunday. Caleb Gaffera there, top of the screen on the Leading Edge Motorsports Tony Kart. New rubber for him as well. With the rest of the group slowly setting on down here for this one. 30 seconds till they go green. The last few karts getting up to the grid, and then they'll bump start them off to head on to the racetrack. There's a look at the 19 of Corelli. He's able to obviously get that kart fixed back up and head on to the circuit. 20 seconds to call. And here we go. Peyton Phillips and the number 10 Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart will lead us onto the racetrack as the OKN Stars come to life for their final practice session, trying to make sure everyone can fire off nicely here with the direct drive power plants. You see them reaching over, hitting that decompression valve, trying to fire. We've got problems for one.
Yeah, that's the 34 there with issues for the Ryan Perry Motorsports team. It seems to be able to get underway here. Paulie Massimino there, I think, struggling as well to get the engine started. You see Brandon Jarsacrack pushing him along, able to get it going, and then you see Brandon Jarsacrack cheering. So good to see those guys in good spirits here this weekend, starting off that OKN engine here, Alexander.
Yeah, happy to get that thing fired back off. It's not as easy as a shifter where they can just get up to speed and pop it into gear. So the direct drive, at least most of them that we saw there, all of them getting up off the grid. Peyton Phillips will lead us out here as this final practice session before qualifying gets underway. 7 minutes on the clock. They'll give them around 8 to 9 laps here in this last session. Here's Gaffera and Josh Holtz, who we haven't talked about too much. Just like Billy Musgrave, team owner, getting to help with a number of his KA senior drivers, like Benham Abernathy and Alex Feldstein earlier today, and then focus on his own driving here in the afternoon. Here's the 2 PSL Bureau Arts, Henry Wheeler, last year's number 2 plate and near champion and race winner, and of course Diego Ramos in the number 21.
Yeah, so a lot of teams out here racing. But for Diego Ramos and Henry Wheeler, definitely going to want to find good track position. This is, like you said, right, a mock quality session for these drivers.
Oh!
Whoa, wow, one driver goes around. That's the 13 there of not sure as of yet. Daniel Piercy, who went around there, I think, avoiding one of the carts that was slowing there on the exit of the chicane. So he goes around and not going to help him out.
And they're not able to refire, right?
Yeah.
So once they spin, it's over. So they have to be so careful not to misstep. Shea Aldrich is the driver that we had misidentified earlier. I had a feeling it was with that iconic 34 that he typically runs with. We're at 19 total. Unfortunately, David Piercy, his session done. That's it. So we'll only see 18 here for FP3. Aiden Lorenko quickest initially here right now in the number 29 Fox & Son machine. Check that. Peyton Phillips is faster by 0.4 over Lorenko and nearly a second over the field. Phillips flying on his first lap at speed of 41.132. His session prior was a 40.7, I believe, for Peyton Phillips. So does he go any better this time? Here's a big group of 4. Rafa, Carr, Terlecki, Holtz, and Wesley Gundler all in the mix there in that group of 5.
Yeah, so again, FP3 just giving us a little preview of what we'll see later on in qualifying. As we see Brandon Carr wanted to get around Ryan Rafa. Wasn't close enough to get it done. It's Nicholas Terlecki right behind, who has a handful of OKN laps under his belt as well. We saw him at MCC run the OKN class and running here again this year with the Holtz driver development team and Josh Holtz, team owner, right behind him.
Yeah, coming out of the last turn, Gundler kind of tried to go by on Holtz, couldn't quite do it. He fades back a little bit as Carr pulls up to Terlecki. Caleb Gaffera, new driver, fastest. The Leading Edge Motorsports Tony Kart, Greg Bell's operation. A lone entry here this weekend for Caleb Gaffera. It's a race-by-race basis. When we talked to him yesterday at Media Day, they're not sure what the rest of 2024 will entail. They know they're going to Vegas again for the Super Nationals. They're going to probably be here, being that it's a home race for him this weekend, as well as at Trackhouse Motorplex for the night fight. The 2 races in the middle of the season, well, it probably depends on how good or bad he runs this weekend here at Charlotte. This race, it has a lot of family tie-ins for Caleb Gaffera, more than most. His mom works with the Coca-Cola 600 group that helps put on the NASCAR month of May. He went to school, elementary school, 4 miles down the road from here. This place, even more of a home racetrack than Trackhouse Motorplex is, and for many of the North Carolina kids, that's not the case. But for Caleb Gaffera, a long history. He was basically born to race here, and right now he is top of the boards in the 54 by a 10.5 over Wesley Gundler, and an equal 10.5 as well to Paulie Massimino, who has picked up some massive time from session number 2.
Yeah, so like we said, right, set up and go in the right direction is definitely going to be important here. And Paulie Massimino, one of the drivers who found it here is Henry Wheeler. Issues already here in this one in the cut-through at the moment on the exit there of the first couple of corners and out of this session here. Henry Wheeler currently sits all the way down in 14th. So this is kind of like a happy hour for these drivers to set the quality grid later today, and Henry Wheeler down in 14th here. So an unfortunate start so far for the runner-up in last year's championship.
Well, Caleb Gaffera obviously still looking pretty sporty. Last time by 40.6, so he's gone better than what Phillips did in FP2. Phillips still 4th right now, 0.3 off. That lap by for Gaffera was slower, 41.3. Wesley Gundler on the Fox & Son karting number 46. The one good part about that camp, as many karts as they have, there's a lot of data points to try stuff in practice. The downside is they're definitely going to be stretched a bit more thin than a bigger race team that has a lot of people that can help out. Now, Gaffera's basically lone teammate is Hayden Jones. They're pitting together onto that Circle K 10x20 pop-up this weekend. That's it. Here's a look at this young gun, Wesley Gundler. His rookie senior season, his first time in an OKN Stars package. He is third right now as Paulie Massimino has gone a little bit better than him and moved up into second. But a very impressive FP3 right now for Wesley Gundler in the 46.
Yeah, not too bad so far for Wesley Gundler. I think Paulie Massimino just went even better in lap number 6, and then Gundler goes even better than that. Goes up to P2, a 40.623 last time by for Wesley Gundler. 0.02 of a second off of Caleb Gaffera here at the moment. So a good start so far for Wesley Gundler.
Getting reports from the racetrack, a little bit of light sprinkles coming down right now. Hasn't affected the surface yet, but are we going to get any bit of wet weather for qualifying? That would be a major shakeup here as we get towards the end of the day. There's still really not any dark clouds around, but it's been mostly overcast for today. A little bit of afternoon sunshine, and that was it. Gaffera a little slower that time. Let's see if Gundler slows down this time. He still looks like he's pushing. He didn't really slow down much, 40.7. Massimino still third. Phillips fourth. Shea Aldrich right there in fifth. We do have some spotted showers kind of working our way towards us, and a bigger line of green that might get here right around qualifying. So big shakeup as we get ready through FP3. Wesley Gundler closing up to Josh Holtz right now, trying to go faster as things stand.
Yeah, not too bad so far for the majority of these drivers. Peyton Phillips just set down his 9th lap. Still down in 4th here, but Caleb Gaffera has had a great start to this session here. That's another flyer there, a 40.8 for Caleb Gaffera last time by. And as the checkered flag does come out, and it seems to be Caleb Gaffera is going to be quickest here in 3rd practice, Xander.
Yeah, Gaffera quickest. There's Aiden Fox in the Fox & Son machine. Kieran Rogers with a good lap late in the number 5. He goes 9th, half a second off. Josh Holtz still a little more to find. He's 0.6 back from Gundler as they roll to the checkers. One more lap in for them. It's still not over. Gaffera's lap holding 9 laps in for him, 40.621 for Caleb Gaffera, and a lot of them taking advantage of the full distance in this session. Massimino 3rd, Phillips 4th, Ramos 5th, Aldrich, Ryan Raffa in 7th, Aiden Lorenko 8th, Kieran Rogers 9th, Brandon Carr 10th, half a second off. He said felt like he was pretty close in FP2. Minor adjustments for him. Did not get really that much more speed here in FP3 than where he only got 2 laps at full speed in FP2. But now, just as we say the reports of liquid sunshine falling from the skies, we get some actual sunshine. So here's a look, but it's definitely dark over there behind the stadium suites at turn number 1. And the bigger storyline than even the weather is really the fact that Henry Wheeler in the number 2, whatever the mechanical issue was for the PSL Karting Bureau Art driver that has him over on the far end of the racetrack, he's got to wait and come in last in the scales, make adjustments, and then bolt on sticker MG yellows for qualifying. So OKN Stars, FP3 all wrapped up. Let's take another run through the results again. How about the runs of the likes of Shea Aldrich there to go 6th? Wesley Gundler, so impressive to go to 2nd. And for the Fox & Son karting team, that is not a known massive powerhouse like BJR, MDR, or Ryan Perry Motorsport to go 2nd. Of course, Caleb Gaffera, the knowledge of Greg Bell and Leading Edge Motorsports has him quick, but they're a one-car operation here, and their fastest at a 40.62. Ryan Raffa, Aiden Lorenko, Kieran Rogers, Carr, then Terlecki, Aiden Fox, and Josh Holtz there, all around a half second off. A lot of drivers within about 0.2 from maybe 4th to about 12th. And then you go back to the end of the group there. Thea Corelli, Ming Nanzhu, Nolan Rocco in the 23, 16th, 17th, and 18th here at the end of FP3.
Yeah, so then our 19th is Daniel Piercy, the driver we saw go around. And like you said, the karts can't get restarted here in this one, so that ended it early for Daniel Piercy. But already a barn burner of a FP3 there for your OKN Stars class. But that's just half of our pro show here, and our shifter is getting set to go green here shortly, where Jay Irwin was one of the drivers to watch, only second quickest at the end of FP2. Josh Conker in the factory kart JFM machine, the Canadian, went quickest in FP2.
Yeah, he said he didn't feel like tires were a lot. Looking down the grid here, not a ton of drivers on new rubber. It looks like the number 1 plate, Talon Yockel, is at least on new tires. I'm trying to see if Jay Irwin is as well there, bottom corner. Looking like the GFC's, of course, David Carmody, Jason Enrique, they're on scuffs. Of course, keep an eye out on Billy Musgrave. Didn't get many laps at all in that FP2 session, so he's got to quickly get out there and figure it out here in FP3 as the drivers roll back onto the circuit. So OKN stars now, all that's left is qualifying. Pro stars getting set to go here as they work their way through the outlap onto Charlotte Motor Speedway surface. And the surface might pick up a little bit. We've got some serious sunshine coming down, Caleb.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the first time we've actually seen any sunshine so far on this Friday. So the sun's starting to peek through those clouds and making it a little bit more of a sunny end to the day than the overcast day that we had earlier on in this one. But good to see the sun come out and warm it up a little bit. It was a cool morning this morning here, Xander. We had the heater on here in our production trailer, but now all that gets thrown out as the sun starts to come out here and these drivers get set for their final practice session and the last real marker that they'll get before they go into qualifying in an hour time.
Well, no surprise, when you go fast in the first couple sessions, guys start to follow you. Jay Irwin has a contingent all trying to keep an eye on his PSL karting Bureau Art right now. There's AJ Myers leading the Magic squad around with Michael Riccio, Jonathan Ocasio taking poles, Annie Rule in the mix. I think Riccio might be the only one not actually in that mix as Ocasio goes by and Myers drops back to follow some of his Magic drivers. For the first lap in, Conquer quickest on the JMF Racing factory kart. The 254 will not stay there though. Gavin Bailiff a little better on the outlap.
Yeah, so the lap times that we saw were close to the 40-second mark that we saw Josh Conquer put down at the end of FP2. They're currently in the 41s, obviously being the first lap. Not too relative as of yet, but just looking to see how these drivers are starting off and who can really improve when they get down to it later. And like we said, tire strategy going to be something to look out for here as well. We didn't see many sticker tires. Obviously, we couldn't get that good of a look down the grid. But, definitely going to be a little bit of a shuffle throughout the field. Jay Irwin stays quickest. And as I say that, Michael Riccio, the Canadian, up to the top of the timing screens at 41.372 for Michael Riccio so far in this one.
Yeah, here comes Jonathan Ocasio across the line. He'll jump up to 6th. Time's tightening up here on the opening couple laps. Still only 2 laps in. Waiting to see how quick they go. Right now, the OKNs were in the mid to low 40s, so we're still about a second off of that for the Pro Stars. As Safik Kotick, the third, goes by. He's 8th right now, only 2/10 off. Michael Riccio fastest. I think we're going to see a burner from someone here that's going to put half a second on the field. That's just the way it's going right now. Let's see what lap 3 looks like. There's there it is right there. Jay Irwin, Billy Musgrave, Justin White. Big gap over the rest of the pack. They go quicker to a 40.50 with Irwin leading the way.
A mystic Xander Clemens. Just as he said that, it happened, right? Jay Irwin put half a second on the field, but only a 10th now as Justin White went just as quick. Vincenzo Saracino there in front of Jay Irwin, who's going to get past as I thought Saracino was going to take a burner, but not letting Irwin get ahead of him. And there goes Jay Irwin, the Kiwi, leading Saracino away now.
Yeah, Jay Irwin, Vincenzo Saracino on your screen. Irwin has been one of the quickest all day. Can he go through and go quickest in FP3 to set himself up with a big run of momentum towards qualifying? Right now it looks like it. 40.235 and made a pass on that lap. Justin White closes up to 2nd. Gavin Bailiff to 3rd. Ian Quinn with a good run. He moves up to 4th. Musgrave 5th. Conquer 6th. Yockel, Riccio, Ocasio, Saracino, the top 10, all 24, continuing to roll here as FP3 rolls on halfway through, and Irwin blows the corner down there at turns 10 and 11.
Yeah, so not the best hairpin corner there for Jay Irwin. May lose a little bit of time there. AJ Myers now up to P2, a 40.318 for the Magic Man. Works his way up to 2nd. Irwin that time by a 40.7. So lap time's already almost half a second quicker than what we saw in FP3 towards the end of it by Josh Conquer, who finds himself currently in 8th. So Conquer running the same lap times that he ran at the end of FP2. Not sure if they decided to not make any changes to that go-kart still staying at the same lap times, but it seems like the rest of the field just improved here. The first time we see a 40.2, and that's Jay Irwin here at the moment. It seemed like they found some sort of time or some sort of added setup or whatever it may have been for Jay Irwin, who continues to improve here in this one.
Billy Musgrave still a little further off. Talon Yockel as well on the Sodi. Here they come down the front stretch chasing Saraceno. Musgrave, no big move that time, 40.6 for him. Irwin, another 40.3, a rocket ship right now to A.J. Myers. And then, again, really impressed to me, really impressive in my eyes for the Maranello boys to be as good as they are. I mean, this is another step forward in that whole program's direction as Musgrave, hand in the air, slowing down a little bit. Yockel the same. Musgrave bails. He'll go to the pit lane early. Billy Musgrave not going to run the full distance in FP3. He'll sit in 6th at a 40.6 or 7.21. 6.11 for Billy Musgrave. He's done here with this one. Happy with that as things run.
Yeah, so that's going to be it for Billy Musgrave. Jay Irwin still out there on the racetrack and goes even quicker on lap number 7. A 40.182 for Jay Irwin and his PSL Burrell Art machine. So Jay Irwin, I mean, I was thinking they were over that peak tire. I thought the tires had already peaked, but Jay Irwin finds a way to go even quicker, and it looks like he's reaching down close to those brakes and adjusting something else. Not sure if he's going to get another go at it or decide to dive into the pits, and I think he's going to have another go at it here. Currently 2/10 clear, or just under a 10th and a half on A.J. Myers here, Xander.
Yeah, the Magic Man, we haven't seen too much of him here in this session, but the 200 has stayed at the top. 40.18 for Irwin, a 3.1 for Myers, a 3.4 for Justin White, as Jay does a bit of a cool-down lap that time. We're getting to the end of the session. Myers pulled in. Justin White is still going. Gavin Bailiff is still going. White is a bit up the road from Irwin. Bailiff a little bit further back down the racetrack. Justin White running with Ian Quinn. This will be probably the end or close to the end. Let's see if Jay Irwin goes for another. He will. Kiwi going to give us another lap. Behind him, there's still more running as well. Eli Fox back in the 12th spot in that middle of that group on the Factory Fury GP card, I believe. Charlie Stein's kind of running with him in 13th. Across the line here, checkered flag out. So this will end FP3. Lap that time, backing off, doing another lap. Didn't really make a difference for Irwin. He stays the same. Gavin Bailiff crosses in the middle of traffic, but 4th in FP3. About 4/10 off. This kid is just unreal, folks. 15 years old, only his first full season in gearbox action. Made his debut really here at the end of last year. Had a fantastic run at the Supernats, making the main against 80-plus superstars, and then rolls into Orlando a few months later, podium. I mean, he is just on another level compared to some of the other young guns that we've seen in this rookie class. And right now, he is the one everyone is chasing. Jay Irwin, 40.182, a massive gap over many, a close gap for A.J. Myers and Justin White, who's rolled off the truck pretty fast on the Maranello USA 232. Bailiff, 4/10 off there in 4th. Ian Quinn, 5th. They're just 4/10 to find to his teammate Billy Musgrave. Only did a couple of laps. 6 laps for him, 6 laps for A.J. Musgrave, 4/10 off in 6th. Talon Yockel, 7th. Josh Conker, Michael Riccio, Vincenzo Saraceno. We had a closely knit top 10 in FP2. It has blown wide open here in FP3 with Jay Irwin at the top of the heap. Ocasio, Fox, Stein, Safik Haddock, and then Jared Ramnarine, your top 15. Further back, you have the GFCs to Jason Enrique, David Carmendy. They were in the top 15. They dropped out of it this time. They went new rubber in FP2, used rubber for them in FP3. Mitchell Lowry, Frankie Iadavea, Annie Rule taking poles, Eric Hugh, Logan Hickman, and then Owsley Cheek, the 4th, down in 24th here at the end of the final practice session. So qualifying is what remains. We're keeping a close eye on the radar because we know that there is some potential weather looming that is going to spice things up. 20 minutes until OKN Stars drivers get onto the racetrack here at 6:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Take a moment to go quiet on the airwaves here and then return with some more intel in a moment. Well, the countdown has just about hit 0 as the OKN stars make their way up to the grid. Qualifying now here in all of a 2-hour window. 3 rounds of practice from nothing to dial the karts in. Lots to talk about from the opening couple of practice sessions already. The most recent one, Caleb Gaffera took his Leading Edge Motorsports Tony Kart to the top, but he was not alone. We've seen Diego Ramos lead the way early. Since then, the 21 has not yet gone back to the top of the boards, and of course, fastest in FP2, Peyton Phillips was a rocket ship on that Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart, but he slowed down a bit when we got to FP3. We'll see if he can take that team back to the top where they ended 2022 as they roll them off for qualifying. You can see the last few drivers just getting down onto the grid in time and ready to go here for our final session for the OKN stars. There goes Ming-Nan Zhu off. Problems for Josh Holtz getting underway. There he goes. Paulie Massimino getting fired off. And last to leave the grid is the 54 of Caleb Gaffera on the Leading Edge Motorsports Tony Kart, along with Nolan Rocco on the Scuderia PCR. Gaffera giving a little shrug to the fence line as to why that motor was bogged down heading out. But nonetheless, we're underway with the qualifying session for the first of our 2 headline divisions for the Stars Championship Series Queen City Gambit. This will set the grid for their 2 motos tomorrow, and then those 2 results will set their lineup for the main event on Sunday afternoon. There's only 4 more sessions after this. They get a warm-up tomorrow before the motos, and then they go straight into the main come Sunday. So this is the last chance Friday to get things dialed before probably a late night of data review and analysis and video review to try and see where they can find some more speed to catch up to the leaders. 19 drivers on the grid for the OKN Stars category here, up from the 16 I believe we started with at the night fight in 2023. And hopefully we'll continue to see those numbers grow as this class has definitely added some more star power, although we've got a late exit off the grid. Henry Wheeler missing out on the outlap there. I walked by them during the break, and they were frantically working on the number 2 car to try and fix the damage that sidelined him in final practice. He's able to make it out here for Qualy, but a slow start for him and a slow start for Aiden Fox as well, who is crawling on the back straightaway.
Yeah, Aiden Fox took the escape route there on the exit of the first couple of corners, and it seems to be some sort of exhaust issue for Aiden Fox early in this one. So let's see if he dives into the pits, and I think he is. So that's going to be it for qualifying for Aiden Fox, who was looking to be one of the favorites coming into the weekend after a strong showing last year. So unfortunate end for Aiden Fox. He's going to start Shotgun Charlie on the field for the heat races tomorrow, Xander.
Yeah, not a good way to end off Friday afternoon for Aiden Fox as his teammate Aiden Lorenko leads Peyton Phillips around, and we'll get the first few laps underway. Phillips, opening lap, a blistering one, a 40.8 already for the number 10 Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart as he closes up to Aiden Lorenko. He'll have to make quick work of him here. We know that window's around lap 2 or 3, so he's already on him down the backstretch as they head towards the sweeper. And we'll probably try to maybe go by over in turn number 10 as Lorenko's still struggling for grip here on those sticker MG yellows. Here comes Phillips to the inside and clear. He'll get through Gaffera a little better on his opening lap. Paulie Massimino flew under the radar in FP1 and FP2. He picked up the pace a lot in FP3 and closed the gap to where he needed to get to. I misspoke earlier about as well Ryan Raffa. He's under the Ryan Perry Motorsport camp, so teammates to Peyton Phillips. So he knows where that speed is lacking compared to the number 10 car as Gaffera working his way around the double left and through the S's over to the final turn. Quickest as things stand with 4 minutes to go in qualifying. Josh Holtz with a good lap there that time. 40.84 for the 22. As Gaffera resets quick time, Massimino jumps up to second as well. Paulie at a 40.61 and Caleb at a 40.59. So both of them putting about 2/10 on the field as Massimino works his way through the chicane on the backstretch.
Yes, not a bad start for Caleb Gaffera, already up to a 40.5. Peyton Phillips back up to second. Only 0.02 of a second slower than Caleb Gaffera here in this one. So not a bad start for some of these drivers. We're only halfway through this qualifying session with 3 minutes to go in this one. So anything can change. A lot of drivers definitely going to be, burning some laps, cooling down the tires and engines to get going for a couple of other fast laps here in this one, Xander.
Gaffera that time got to a 40.4, picked up a little bit. So did Phillips at a 40.57. But the Leading Edge Motorsport Tony Kart is fastest. Here's Brandon Carr, the number 1 plate. He's fourth right now off of his opening couple laps. Can he go better? He's at a 40.7 for Trinity Karting Group in Kart Republic. Nothing better that time, 40.8 for the reigning series champ. Still fourth, Diego Ramos right behind him as Wesley Gundler moves up in the top 10. He goes to sixth. Ramos up to fourth there as he nips Carr by 1,000th, and Carr catching some slower traffic, and Nolan Rocco there through the chicane.
Yeah, so going to be a burner here for Brandon Carr this time by. Gaffera goes by again, half a second slower that time by. So not sure if Gaffera's just burning this lap or just those tires have already reached their peak and kind of fallen off here at this point, Xander.
Yeah, so Caleb Gaffera in the 54. Still fastest over Phillips, Massimino, Ramos, and then this guy, Brandon Carr. Wesley Gundler, the rookie, down in sixth. Josh Hote, seventh. Aiden Lorenko, eighth. Ryan Raffa is ninth. And a good lap from Nick Terlecki jumps him to sixth there as Peyton Phillips coming to the chicane right now. P2 for the number 10. Did not go better last time. Might have already hit the limit. Gaffera at the line now. Let's see if he jumps at all. He does not. 40.60, nearly 10th off of his personal best. Peyton Phillips right now by himself as well. These laps coming very early in the session for the OKN Stars drivers. Henry Wheeler still down the leaderboard in 13th. 9.5 tenths off for the number 2 plate.
Yeah, not too far off as Phillips last time by a 40.721, so 2 tenths slower that time by. Then his fastest lap here at the moment. So definitely some time to find for Peyton Phillips, who is there on your screen here behind Henry Wheeler. So has good track position. Going to have, I guess, a mouse to chase ahead of him in Henry Wheeler. So, going to dive into the pit. So that's going to be it for Peyton Phillips here in this qualifying session. Going to call it quits here early, and that's going to be it. So let's hope that lap time for Peyton Phillips stands currently at a 40.5, and more drivers continue to start to come into the pits here, Xander.
Caleb Gaffera is still going. He's chasing Paulie Massimino right now. The two of them on the back straightaway with 40 seconds to go as he weaves the tires there. Let's see if they try to go for one or two more. Both of them still going at the moment. Your first and your third place drivers still on the racetrack. Diego Ramos has pulled in, so the 21 will sit. He's fourth, 3 tenths off. Gaffera rounding the final turn. He'll get one more lap if he wants it before the checkers drop. 20 seconds to go in qualifying. Caleb G trying to get a home race pole award here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 10th and a quarter up on Peyton Phillips as things stand.
Yeah, he's continuing to push here in this lap. Talked to him during the break, said whoever can drive the karts the best whenever they're sideways is who's going to end up on the pole position. And you see there, Paulie Massimino raise his hand, and Gaffera going to work his way through as I think drivers still lacking for gripping Gaffera there. They're diving into the pit, so at the moment on the provisional pole position here as it stands, but a lot of drivers still out there on the racetrack and trying to beat the time of Caleb Gaffera as there's a 46 off the racetrack. That's Wesley Gundler who finds himself in 8th. Was in the top 5 earlier today, but that's going to be it for Wesley Gundler as issues in this qualifying session.
Yeah, Gundler off going into the final turn, 3.5 tenths off pole. He'll end his session on the sidelines. Got the most out of it on the Fox & Son Racing Tony Kart, but the underdog camp with a lot of entries unfortunately fade down the board. 7th and 8th for their two best. Aiden Lorenko P7, Gundler P8, Holtz 9th, Rafa in 10th, Kieran Rogers 11th, Shea Aldrich 12th. But Caleb Gaffera on top. Peyton Phillips a 10th back there in second. Paulie Massimino 3rd, Diego Ramos 4th, Brandon Carr in 5th. Then it's Terlecki and on down. Henry Wheeler in the scramble to get that PSL Karting Bureau Art fixed up. Obviously still not quite where it needs to be. He ends up down in 13th here at the end of this session. Theo Corelli, Nolan Rocco there 16th and 17th. Aiden Fox 18th here in Qualy, not getting a single lap scored. Same for David Piercy as well, who went out in FP2 and did not return to action here on Friday. So he's done. But there is our pole sitter, the 54 Leading Edge Motorsports Tony Kart of Caleb Gaffera by a 10th. Is your fastest here as the day comes to a close for the OKN Stars drivers. We'll be chatting with a number of our top qualifiers here once they roll through the scale line. And at the same time, getting ready for Pro Stars to roll here in a few moments. Justin White and Jay Irwin getting set to lead the field out. But there's first, there's third. Paulie Massimino on the BJR MDR entry, only a 10th off of where Caleb Gaffera was, but still just not as fast as he needed to put it on the pole. So he seems to be in good spirits. I wouldn't blame him. That's not a lot to find overnight, but everyone's still getting so much faster as this day goes on. A 40.4, the pole time here in OKN Stars. Can't say enough about the day so far it's been for Justin White and the Maranello USA boys. There's his dad, Jerry, behind him, getting ready to fire off for the Carlos Racing Engines Maranello Kart USA camp. And the number 3 plate has been one of the fastest throughout all 3 practice sessions. But the kid that everyone's chasing is the Kiwi, who starts alongside him in that PSL karting Bureau Art. And you get a great look right into the helmet of the young man that 15 years old, Jay Irwin, was fastest in final practice. He'll be one of the first ones to lead us out here for Pro Stars qualifying.
Yeah, going to be one of the first ones to lead us out. Billy Musgrave there right behind Josh Conker as well. So anybody's qualifying here in this one. We've seen a lot of guys work their way to the top of the timing screen. Justin White, quickest in FP1. Josh Conker, quickest in FP2. And Jay Irwin was the quickest in FP3. So a second, two second place finishes in the free practices there as the Magic Karts go out last to get some good track position there, as well as Eric Hugh going out towards the end of the field. But Jay Irwin, definitely the driver to beat here in this qualifying session. Anybody's game, though, here as we get set to go for the last session in this Friday in the start round 1 of the 2024 season. Here's
Josh Conker lining up behind him here, and a number of karts lining up behind the 220 as he begins his warm-up lap here. Probably going to do one more, I think, before he gets it up to full song. Then as well in line is David Carmody and Ian Quinn. 1, 2, 3, 4 in that pack. You go back a little bit, I believe you'll find Talon Yockels, Sodi Racing USA Kart. The number 1 plate has still been looking for a few more tenths here this afternoon as he tries to find some more speed. So Talon said he felt pretty good, felt like he liked the go-kart stock and was going to try and keep it there. I don't know if they made any changes after that FP3 run on new tires where he still was lacking some pace. So maybe for Talon, this could be a big turnaround session as he comes out of the final turn to put the outlap underway. Justin White already still going, and just still a warm-up lap for him, a little faster warm-up lap than others, but a couple drivers pushing right off the bat, like Charlie Steins on the Factory Fury GP kart, going fastest here on the first lap around. Gavin Bailiff second, Musgrave third, but we're still just slowly bringing them up to temperature and bringing them up to speed as AJ Myers completes his warm-up lap with Jonathan Ocasio lined up right behind him, as well as Michael Riccio.
Yeah, so a lot of drivers continue to cycle through. There's AJ Myers. What does it look like for the first lap? Not really relative, a 43. Like you said, just a warm-up lap, maybe deciding to take 2 warm-up laps. They did go out further behind the field, so definitely going to have to get a move on if they want to get as many laps as they can. And there goes Ian Quinn, was top of the timing screens for a second, but Billy Musgrave goes quicker, a 40.627 for the All-American factory kart driver and chassis there, and team owner, I should say, as Gavin Bailiff there knocks him out. A 40.3 for Gavin Bailiff, even quicker than anything that Jay Irwin said in practice.
Let's see what AJ Myers does across the line. I believe that was still probably a warm-up lap for him. Not anymore. AJ, 40.40. He'll go second, 600ths off of Gavin Bailiff. So the Trinity Kart and Group Kart Republic boys have a top 5 with Brandon Carr, looking for a pole here with Gavin, as now Jay Irwin to the top on the PSL barrel art. 40.25 for the Kiwi. Here's Bailiff across the line in traffic at the end of that good lap. Still was fastest, 40.201. Gavin flying right now here. He's on top of the heap.
No idea what that turning. I walked into that tent earlier. They were working on Gavin's kart. No idea what they found. No idea what changes they made. But it seems to be working. A 40.201 for Gavin Bailiff. Top of the timing screens here in this one, and it's sticking at the moment because AJ Myers and Michael Riccio were able to get into the 40.2s, but not quick enough to take Gavin Bailiff off that top spot here at the moment.
Jay Irwin's going to cross the line before Bailiff will. Irwin to the top. No, Ian Quinn to the top there in the 297. Here comes Bailiff. He had to make a pass on that lap, so that's not going to be a better one. Ian Quinn on the 297. The Q3 karting machine out of the chicane onto the back straightaway, trailing teammate Jay Irwin. Right now, they are first and fifth, 600ths apart, and Quinn looks even better this lap right now. Ian Quinn on a career best, as now Irwin, I think, might have just slowed up coming out of the chicane and burned that lap there unintentionally to his teammate as Jay was trying to find some more real estate. Quinn's going to cross the line here with no improvement that time as he got held up, and AJ Myers has just gone to the top by 1/1000th of a second here on the Magic Kart.
The margins here are absolutely minimal. Anybody's game with just over 2 minutes to go left in this qualifying session. AJ Myers at the top here. Ian Quinn currently second, 1,000th of a second, like you said, behind AJ Myers here at the moment. Gavin Bailiff fell back to third, but everybody in between the same 10th of a second. It's absolutely minimal, the margin that separates your top three.
Well, we had our question earlier of whether or not the field will be tighter or further apart with less sessions. It is absolutely inches apart right now. Quinn across the line that time, no improvement. They're starting to slow down. Irwin all over him. Nowhere to go, still trapped in the fifth spot. Billy Musgrave hit his lap on lap 5, pulled in. He's sixth, and he's only 700ths off the pole. A few more bailing into the pit lane. Myers is in. He is on to up by 1/1000th over Ian Quinn. Gavin Bailiff is 13,000th off in third. Here comes more to the scale line as Irwin is still out there, and he's going to maybe try one more time. So Jay Irwin needs 0.5 to dethrone the pole. Ian Quinn does as well. He only needs 1/1000th to go better, but they've all slowed down now. Quinn at a 40.7 last time by. Slowed down tremendously for maybe one more push lap. No, hand in the air, he's done. He's going to pull to the wayside, let Tegan Poles go by. Here comes Yockel. Talon still pushing. 8th place right now for the Sodi Kart, 0.3 off.
0.3 off at the moment for Talon Yockel, the reigning Stars, Pro Stars champion here at the Stars Championship Series. Jay Irwin as well still pushing, so let's see what these guys can do as we come to the end of this qualifying session. Jay Irwin, like we said, still pushing, as well as Talon Yockel, who's going into the last couple of corners here. What is it going to look like for the Sodi Racing USA machine of Talon Yockel and what could be his final lap here in this qualifying session? Across the line now. Can he improve? Not enough. And he doesn't improve. Still an 8th for Talon Yockel here. Jay Irwin doesn't improve either. A 40.550. And not enough for Jay Irwin to crack himself further up into that top 5.
We knew that third lap window was going to be the money lap. We didn't know everybody was going to be this close. 1/10 of a second for the top 7 in Pro Stars qualifying. AJ Myers by 1/1000th over Ian Quinn. Gavin Bailiff, how about it for Michael Riccio? Only 46,000th off of Myers as things stand. But everybody's slowing down a ton. 0.5 second off for many. Yockel still pushing for a little more. Up the road is Justin White. He was fastest in final practice. Only a 10th off the pole. It puts him P7 as things stand. Here comes Irwin. One last heave. Nothing. A 40.4. If that would have been his lap, he'd go all the way back to the 9th position. But this was unbelievably close. AJ Myers in the closest Stars Championship Series Pro Stars qualifying margin in the series history. 1/1000th of a second, and Michael Riccio 4th as he motions there, just 0.5 off of AJ here at the end of qualifying. He's asking who's second. How about this? Ian Quinn, the Midwestern kid with a lot of fans watching along, has just put it P2 by 1/1000th off the Magic Man, one of the most decorated shifter kart drivers in the last decade, and one of the best of his generation. AJ Myers only 1,000th up on Ian Quinn, who only embarks on his second real full season in shifter racing action. He gets a lot less time behind the wheel than many, and that is a very, very respectable run for PSL Karting to have 2 of their guys in the top 5, separated by 0.5. Michael Riccio completes 2 Magics up there. Gavin Bailiff, the lone TKG KR, is 3rd. Musgrave 6th, and he was only 9,000th off of the top 5 of Jay Irwin, who was a rocket ship. But if anything, we know that the field's going to be close. What they're going to race like is just going to be still unknown, but we know they're tight together here. A 10th for the top 6, really a 10th for the top 7, and then 2 tenths back. It still stays pretty close. Yockel, Josh Conker, Charlie Steins continues to impress in his first full season of pro shifter action here in Pro Stars. He gets a top 10 run there, 4.5 tenths off. and his teammate Eli Fox right with him there, about a half second to gain in 11th. Vincenzo Saraceno, 12th. A former series champ outside the top 10, half a second off there. Jared Ramnarayan, Safik Hadik III picked up a ton of time. He was outside the top 15 for most of today. He ends up 14th there, just ahead of Jason Enrique. Then Tegan Poles, Frankie Iadavea, Jonathan Ocasio, David Carmody, Annie Rule, Mitchell Lowry, Eric Hugh, Logan Hickman, and Oz Cheek there through the rest of the field. Quickest in the Rock Stars category was Iadavea, but what a qualifying session. The tightest margin that we have seen in a long time when it comes to shifter qualifying for the entire top 6, top 7. We've seen them close before, but 1/1000th, that's just breathing, is a couple of those. And Ian Quinn, that close to a Maiden Stars Pole Award, Caleb.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I mean, two big difference that I noticed from Ian Quinn from last year on what was it, one of his first seasons in the shifter class. One, shorter hair, got a haircut over the winter break, and it looks like he's put on some muscle over the winter as well. It could be that, to be able to muscle around that shifter cart around a place like Charlotte Xander that we've said all weekend long is going to be physical for these shifter drivers, and already showing his class here, goes second by fine margins here in this one. Absolute barn burner of a qualifying session for these pro stars.
Well, so A.J. Myers ends on top. We'll take a quick break and hear from our top qualifiers in OKN and Pro Stars. When we return, let's hear from the aftermath of a crazy qualifying session in Pro Stars and a little more spread in OKN, but still a close top 3.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh? Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive. Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern. They got shoes? Yep. Gloves? Yep. Rib protectors? Got those too. Can they make me go fast? No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
We're at a commercial break.
To be the best, you have to learn from the best. Racecraft Driver Development by multi-time karting champion Austin Garrison is here to help you elevate your game behind the wheel. Inquire now and go faster tomorrow. Welcome back to America's home for racing here. Charlotte Motor Speedway, the host of the Queen City Gambit, an opening weekend for the 2024 Stars Championship Series. Friday on-track action just came to a close here from Concord, North Carolina, and boy, oh boy, did we have ourselves a day. Lots to talk about at the end of this opening day of qualifying as the paddock slowly comes to a quiet for the first time since 7:30 a.m. this morning with the opening semi-pro practice sessions. Now as they begin track cleanup and overnight prep for heat racing first thing in the morning tomorrow. Of course, of those of you joining us just now, we are going to be hearing from our top finishers in OKN Stars and Pro Stars qualifying, as well as, of course, tomorrow and the rest of the weekend, you'll get to watch some of the beginnings of the day for free. But if you want to be able to make sure that you can watch all of the action, check out all this we've got lined up tomorrow. Here, Heats 1 and 2 and pre-finals for all the semi-pro categories, Pro Moto 1 and Pro Moto 2 for OKN and Pro Stars in the afternoon. All that exclusive to KC Premium members to watch live here. And then, of course, Sunday, we get to the main events as well for the semi-pro categories and the OKN and Pro Stars categories as well. There's a look at all the drivers in the media bullpen. Got a lot to talk to. Alex?
Thank you, Xander. First and foremost, Caleb, this is actually more of a home track for you than Trackhouse is, so congrats on pole position there. Walk me through that session and what it was like on new tires and what the track's like, after the day was done.
I mean, this track's pretty slick. We're not putting down too much rubber yet, so, and I mean, we've been pretty quick all day. We've never been out of the top 3, so I mean, we've had a good day, and I think we can be faster tomorrow. Yeah.
Speaking of tomorrow, right? Decently long heat races. As I was just speaking to you guys there, you were kind of like, what? You didn't really realize how long the races are going to be for you guys. So expectations in terms of how close the field is. I mean, how are you feeling? And overall, what do you think is going to race like with the Oken package?
I think it'll be a fun race. It's really just going to come down to like who can manage the tires the best, because I think everyone's going to kill tires this weekend because there's just not enough rubber on this track for it to not slide. Like after a couple laps, it's already sliding. So it's best go-kart setup is going to win.
Yeah, and leading these guys to the green flag tomorrow for those heat races, I mean, does that put any more pressure on you in terms of trying to keep the tires underneath you, or do you think it's going to be easier that you can control the pace?
I'd rather be at the front controlling the pace just so I can see behind me and see if they're catching me or if I can ease up on it a little bit.
All right, congrats on pole, Caleb.
Thank you.
All right, Caleb Guevara, pole position in the Oken Stars class. Next up, Paulie Massimino. Paulie, I've been trying to talk to you all day, but you've been running for me, so now I finally get to talk to you here. First weekend on the OKN package there, last-minute entry into the category P3 in qualifying. I mean, you feel pretty good after that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a super busy day. Obviously, we have a lot of help over there, so it was possible. It was kind of like a last-minute deal. We put it all together this morning. Big thanks to Carlos and those guys over there for helping us out with the motor and everything like that. It definitely rips. We changed the gear for qualifying. I kind of think we probably should have left it. None of us know too much about them, so it's all kind of trial and error. But I'm okay with the P3. I feel like we got more pace in it. I feel like my lap wasn't the best, but big thank you to all the BJR, MDR crew over there for working nonstop. You know, the sessions are pretty quick, so without them, you know, I wouldn't have been able to make it. We got 25 people of our own, and I'm coaching all during the day, so big kudos to them.
Oh, congrats on P3 there, Paulie.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for your Oken Stars. Now for the KZ guys. AJ, we'll start with you. You beat out Ian Quinn by 1/1000th of a second, one of the closest qualifying performances that I've seen in quite some time here. Definitely the closest in Stars history for KZ. So after that lap, I mean, you pretty pumped for that one?
I mean, yeah, I had no idea. They said P1. I didn't know it was the top 6 of us. I could have been P6 about blink of an eye there. So I just feel fortunate now. The kart feels great. I think I can eke a little bit more out of it tomorrow, and excited.
Yeah, talking about your progression, right? Because, I mean, you didn't get on track until 4:20 p.m. there. 3 quick practices in succession there. So do you feel like you found anything for tomorrow that you can kind of improve on, or you feel comfortable with where you're at?
I mean, spent the whole day working with the Masters guys, Max and the Junior a little bit. And so I learned the track through them a little bit because, like, most of the people here, we've never been here before, especially in the shifter. It's a really small track. And where I can go tomorrow is just maximize my line a little bit more. I feel like there's definitely more in it if I can get out of the go-kart.
And you speak of that smaller style racetrack for you shifter guys. It's wide, but again, a smaller style track for you with how fast it is. Let's talk about the starts, right? You're the whole shot king sometimes, but it's a very quick run into turn 1. What do you expect for tomorrow at the start?
It looks like you're going to drop the clutch and then get into the corner. So it's right there. Whole shot's key, and then hopefully stack up and just relax up front. We're all so tight, as you see in the lap times. I mean, you get a little gap. It's going to take a while for them to work that gap back down. And so, yeah, first lap's key, first turn.
Congrats on pole there, AJ.
Thank you.
One last interview here. Ian Quinn. It's been a while since we talked to you, bud, but I mean, 1/1000th of a second away from pole position. Congrats, and to you and the PSL boys. I mean, do you feel pretty good about this one heading to tomorrow?
Yeah, you know, I'm with a good group. PSL over there, first time under their tent in a while, and you can see the results. They're looking good. You know, I've spent most of the day with real rapid fire, session after session after session. New layout for me and pretty much everybody. We've all been getting used to it. But I think after putting myself in the wrong place a little bit today, finally made myself some space in this session and did the right things and put down a flyer close enough to get me on the front row. So happy about that.
Congrats, Ian.
Thank you.
Back to you, Xander.
There you have it from our Pro and OKN Stars drivers here to end out today. Ian Quinn with a very good point there at the end. PSL has 2 drivers inside the top 6, and like AJ said, could have been any of them. The racing will be interesting to watch tomorrow, and we're going to get to watch it all here live from America's home for racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Stars Championship Series Queen City Gambit is wrapped up here Friday afternoon into Friday evening. Lots of work overnight for us, for the race teams, and for the Stars Championship Series crew. Thank you for watching. We'll see you bright and early. First thing, 7:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. We get underway with warm-ups for the same pro categories and then go straight to racing here all the way through Saturday.